That's my response.
I mean, honestly, and this is something that I mentioned before, where it's like, instead of us being so quick to judge, we should first be asking ourselves why. Why is there a large or significant amount of men that feel like the best option to them is to literally spend more money, basically inconvenience themselves to go to countries they don't know, cultures they're not familiar with, to try to find somebody? Why would somebody willingly leave their own country, leave their culture, context, whatever, go to a culture they're not aware of to try to find a wife? What is that saying about what's going on? So I'm one that says, let's
in the morning, you got me up, all cause you need to talk. To 4 in the evening, wanna break up, say that you've had enough. I'm tired of talking, again and again, argue about everything. You are my darling, this kiss and make up, I know you wanna touch. You call me every night, call me every day, I just wanna get you alone now. Trust me when I say
pain. I've been there, locked up inside my head, broken from fear, illusions, disappointment, and hopelessness. Who heard me in my silence, where being a man means nothing? Despair. I've been there too, desperately seeking answers for the questions associated with manhood, hills and valleys, too bleak to compare. Stress, suffering in a utility silo, no comfort, no security, no freedom, no justice, just do it for others. Challenges, who will help me break the challenges? Lost in the vortex of darkness, hopelessness, fear, and abandonment. I've been there too. I've been there too. Take the next step to your destiny. Join me in this fight. Walk forward. Deep breaths. Head held high, men. Come join me, men, in the winds of time. Stories, hopes, visions, purified in the fire. I'm not a superhero, and I'm not the Reverend Knight. I'm here to help you. Join me, men, in this fight. Break the chains of your mind. Let's do it now. For now is all we have. Fire for your mind. The kosher clinician. Hit that like button. Go ahead. Do it now before I reach out into that screen and twist your hand like Aunt Esther. Hit the like button. Thank you.
Destroy.
When you date a woman and she may be a potential wife, it's a competition thing all the way. I can't take it no more.
They feel propped up because they feel more beholden to the government. And then their man comes second. That's why they figure that they're strong, independent, don't need no man, because they have the government.
Because the men are failing us, to be honest. Guys thinking about themselves, and they'll think about you after you react.
You don't hear anything about being good wives and all this other stuff. What you hear is you're strong and you independent. You can do it on your own. You got black girl magic, black girl rock, but you ain't said nothing about black family.
My mother is like what they consider to be the strong black woman. I feel like I projected that onto the guys that I dated.
Ladies have no idea how stiff their competition really is. You have no clue how black men are viewed in the rest of the world. We are the #1 most sexually desired man on the face of this planet.
They would call Jesus Dusty if he was here living in America because of the gross narcissism that a lot of our women have.
That's my response.
I mean, honestly, and this is something that I mentioned before, where it's like, instead of us being so quick to judge, we should first be asking ourselves why. Why is there a large or significant amount of men that feel like the best option to them is to literally spend more money, basically inconvenience themselves to go to countries they don't know, cultures they're not familiar with, try to find somebody? Why would somebody willingly leave their own country, leave their cultural context, whatever, go to a culture they're not aware of to try to find a wife? What is that saying about what's going on? So I'm one that says, let's try to at least understand where they're coming from first before we be so quick to judge or to pass judgment. So really, really good points. Shout out to Faucet Media. It says, how
in my palm, my girl, she know she the one. I put the ice on her hand, I put some ice on her arm. See me shining in the light, know you found me in the dark. Talking how you wanna leave, girl, you made this far. Taking trips overseas, no, I won't be long. We came up from the weeds, now it's top floor. All these big yes on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spinning, I don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on a let it spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her, cause she all mine. That's me. Spend it on a challenge, cause she all mine. There for my first cake, then we hit 100K. $500,000 on the way, then $1 million on the way. Eating good, full plates, eating good, say grace. Eat her up, get thanks. She got cake birthday. I can't waste no way, I can't waste no play. My girl, whoa, whoa, something like the baddest chick. My girl, whoa, whoa, came from the rags to rich. Hit the road running, I had to tell her I had to get it. She understood, but she spoiled, so when she get mad, she dip. All these big yes on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spinning, I don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on a let it spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her, cause she all mine. That's me. Spend it on a challenge, cause she all mine. All these big yes on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spinning, I don't stress. When I make it stretch. Double back to back then. Down broke, now we rich. Spend it on a let it spin. Down with me to the end. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend. I'ma spend it on her, cause she all mine. All these big yes on her wrist, VVS is on her neck. Make it spinning, I don't stress. Spend it on a challenge, cause she all mine. That my best friend. That my best friend. That my best friend.
focuses on SYSBM instead of saving the community, I think she's right. She's on to something.
See their ankles, because that unfortunately is 80% of the women in the community.
Right,
so if you want to save the community, tell the ladies to go to the gym, teach the ladies how to stop having kids out of wedlock, and that's how we'll save the community. So yeah, Black women thinking, oh, we can just say I'm soft now, or we can say, oh, I'm a pick me, or we can say I'm feminine now. It's extremely disrespectful to our men when 80% of us are still walking around having to wobble.
Shout out to Mona. Mona, tell me what you disagree with there. It's okay if you disagree. I don't mind disagreeing, but tell me what you disagree with, Mona, in the clip. Thank you, dear.
Are foreign women the best option for American men in the West? You decide.
A husband is your protection and provision. So, and I can't speak for all foreign women, but in those countries where there is no social programs, like, there's no EBT, there's no SNAP help, there's, no stimulus checks, none of that. There's no matriarchy. And I think that's a big issue here, is that women are told they deserve the world for just being women. And with that mindset, when you don't feel like you have to earn anything, the first man that comes up to you, you'll be like, well, what can you do to impress me? I'm the prize. I was told I was the prize since, I was 10 or so.
I invited him to the crib, cooked for him, gave him the sloppiest neck you can manifest in your mind. Let him fold me like a origami bird. Called him an Uber, then blocked him and never spoke to him again. I really beat him to the punch. We are going to learn this game too fast. But the question remains, is she really learning the game fast, or is she a fool to the vices of her own ignorance? You guys know, and I know, that some are advocates for save your community Black men, but with women like this sadly manifesting typical modern day behavior, is it safe to say that men should save themselves? We're going to explore the dynamics of this call-in show and also talk about this trending topic of some that are advocates of saving the community, but the question remains, should men save themselves? I told you guys before in the past that needs drive behaviors, and when needs are not getting met as it relates to honor and respect, how can men be expected to save a community? I said in the show on yesterday that a community without cannot be a community within. A community without honor and respect of men cannot be a community within the confines of protection, security, maintenance, and also love. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this show as I bring it to you live from the greatest state in the union, the Tar Heel State. And I need you guys to understand this as we talk about the importance of a faltering community and the need for women to understand what men want. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. There are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male, and understanding how female psychology and male needs are important for soul fusion is paramount to the functioning of a man. Enjoy this show and this live call-in as we talk about or ask ourselves the question, should men be focused on themselves, or should men focus on saving a community that never really gave back to them? Be well.
All right, guys, we're gonna have a good show on today. If my sound go off, man, I might have to reboot it, guys. But here's the question on today: should men be more concerned about saving
the black community or any community or men of any ethnic group, should they be concerned about saving their community? Or should they be concerned about saving themselves? Listen. I told you guys before, as I've said it many times in the past, that when a man is not getting his needs met in a consistent manner, then he's not going to amplify or reflect what you need as a woman. But there's a condition that's happening in this generation, as they did studies that more or less suggest that the current generation, they call it the post-Y generation, are considered to be very narcissistic and entitled. But not only that, when you looked at the last election, guys, no one actually hoisted or more or less gave men any level of concern as relates to them getting their needs met as well. Relationships, guys, are based on pliability, but also it's based on congruency. And when men are not getting their needs met, then men are saying, you know what, why continue to bother? When men suffer in silence, they become one of two things. They become indifferent, or they more or less check out. And it's safe to say that many men are checking out, and many men are saying, if I'm not going to get what I want in a relationship, then there's going to be consequences. I talked about it yesterday, guys, when I was in the Bull City, and the question that I asked was, can a community without be a community within? And what I mean by that is this: how can a community without the nurturing, support, honor, and respect of their men expect to be a community within where there's nurturing, protection, security, and maintenance? I'm going to say it again. A community without nurturing, honor, and respect for their men cannot expect to be a community within that's consistent with being insular, but also consistent with love, security, protection, and also giving women what they need. Men are beginning to raise the mantle as we begin to explore the importance of male empowerment. And male empowerment, guys, is consistent with mental health wellness. For so long, many of our men have suffered into silence to the point that many have gone to the grave with dreams deferred. Some of you men that are listening right now are suffering in silence, and that's why I'm here as an advocate, but also as a licensed mental health therapist, more or less seeking to empower you men as it relates to male empowerment, but also getting your needs met. You can never become the best version of yourself if you're in a situation where you're not getting your needs met. I told you guys that you have inherent value, but also you have inherent worth. In the meantime, guys, I'm going to turn this system on. If I pop off, just stay tuned. I'm going to come back in. So just hold tight, guys. I'm going to try to turn it on. And consistent with a lot of guys are saying it's over. And, listen, hey, there's a consequence for not taking care of the warrior class. I'm going to say it again. There is a consequence, guys, for not taking care of the warrior class. And your men and your boys are the warrior class. They're the protectors, the builders, not the nurses, but the men that give guidance. And listen, we're not talking about a percentage of men that are consistent with the dysfunction here in America. But we're talking about good, hard-working men, noble men, honorable men. They have more or less done the work, but they said, like James Ingram said, I gave my best, but I guess my best wasn't good enough. And see, what men got about 50 to 60 years ago, or even 70 years ago, guys, were noble, honorable, disciplined women. Women that understood the importance of family, women that understood the importance of community, women that honored, respected, and that dirty word, obeyed their men. But see, nowadays you got women that talk about, I love the law. They say they're Christians. They say they believe in protection. But they want something for nothing. And see, what men are saying is that, no, that ain't gonna work this. My worth is too important. My worth is too expensive as a man. And see, what men are saying, if I don't get my needs met, you're not gonna get your needs met. And I keep telling men, you have more power than you understand. You men have so much power that if you really got serious about changing the behaviors of some of these women, then some will actually change. But however, you will have to be more or less wise, because some that will change will really be just a facade. We talked about it last week with Chantel Simone, and we call it the soft girl era. I call it the salt girl era. And basically what I mean by that, it's a cadre of women that are bitter, women that don't more or less understand the importance of masculinity.
And I had a very good conversation with a young lady yesterday. She's very, very cool sister, red vibes. Good sister I'm going to have on the show on Sunday. And I told you guys, if a woman is expecting to come into your life, she must have the mind of a soldier. If she doesn't have the mind of a soldier, then she's not prepared to be a wife. Because having the mind of a soldier is about the mission, and the mission is the relationship. The mission is the marriage, and the mission is the community. But see, so many come into relationships now thinking that their needs supersede the mission of that said man. And because you men have never seen masculinity in its rawest form, you continue to defer power instead of demanding it. Something I talk about, guys, all the time. But in the meantime, guys, get the likes up, share this content. If you're not donated to the channel, donate, because I'm going to drop some fire for your mind on tonight. This is going to be a
fire
show.
For your
and
mind.
We're going to talk about, is it worth
culture,
saving the current
mission.
black community that we have, or should more or less men save themselves? Hold tight, guys. This internet is dipping in and out. So if it dips in and out, guys, I ask you guys to bear patience with me. Sometimes the internet in this area dips. So, but once again, guys, the soft girl era or the salt girl era, and we got to ask ourselves the question: are these women genuine? Or are these women just bitter Bettys, more or less impersonating like they're women of virtue? And if you've done the work, men, you cannot afford to get with a salt girl, because salt girls have ulterior motives. Many are byproducts of narcissism. Many are byproducts of personality disorders like histrionic or borderline personality disorders. And you have to be very careful, because if you've done the work as a man, you don't live in a country that's consistent with fairness and equity. And because of that, if you happen to be in a situation where you allow a woman to make you a saboteur of your own ignorance, you're going to suffer the recompense of your error. And so we don't want that to happen, guys. We don't want that to happen. We want men to be healthy and happy. And that's what it's all about. But in the meantime, shout out to my man XL Pro for that $5 super sticker. Thank you, XL Pro. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you, XL Pro, for that. And we're going to get deeper into it. But in the meantime, guys, let me read through some of these comments. Shout out to the brothers that are in the chat. Shout out to Top Gun, the Sniper, Tim Howard. Shout out to all the brothers and the sisters. Shout out to Gail Nelson. How you doing, dear? Shout out to everyone, because we're going to have a good show on tonight talking about SYSBM, or Save Your Community, Black Men. And, you guys know, and I know, that a community cannot be a community if the women are not disciplined and the women don't have a modicum of virtue. But it appears now that virtue is gone and is fading away fast. And men are saying, how can we build the pillars of a community when women don't have virtue anymore? We're not saying that there are not a percentage of women in America that don't have virtue, because there are. There are some wonderful uncovered gems that have not been found. But the problem with that is that the numbers or the odds of finding that are getting slimmer and slimmer based on the generation. And what men are saying is that, what should they render unto me? Because see, I find that guys very offensive as a man. My daddy was a blue collar worker. He worked in a paper mill in Eastern North Carolina. And I have a problem with the modern woman, to the point that my dad would have been a nobody to many of these modern women now. But see, when I look at what my dad got and what my grandfather got, most modern women will not line up to what my father and my grandfather got. My grandfather got a virgin for a wife. He got a wife that didn't have any kids. He got a wife that was wife ready, and so did my father. But see, you got women now that have had a lot of fun. Some have had a lot of fun. They got kids by multiple men, and they don't have any modicum of respect. And you got men that want to shame you and tell you to come back and serve in servitude to a product that's been severely used. I call it the open box principle. And basically what you're getting is a product that's been opened and closed, opened and closed, opened and closed multiple times. And I'm not trying to be crass, guys, in what I'm saying, but I'm trying to be honest and fair at the same time, because there is a percentage of derelict men that are causing chaos in our community. But however, a lot of those women they have been imprinted by those men. They like those men. Because see, what I'm finding out is this: you don't always have to have money to get a woman to, be consistent with sharing her body. It's the imprint, the male imprint. I'm going to do a show on it at some point. If she's been imprinted, she cannot be mission ready. It's going to take a lot of work for her to deal with that imprint. And that's what happened, guys, after the sexual revolution. Women were not like women now before the sexual revolution. They ran with it. Now, we got a condition or a system where the women are so despondent or non-virtuous that it's almost impossible to build a community off of broken vessels. This is what T.D. Jakes said, guys, in the past. Listen.
I know you can buy your own car. I know you can buy your own house. But until you create a need that I can pour into, I have no place in your life. So stop.
Listen to what he said. Men got a need that they can pour into. If a man cannot pour into something, how can you build a community? A lot of modern women are broken vessels, and you cannot build a community off of broken vessels. You can't build a community off broken vessels. And so those that are more or less, how can I say it, you got the Cassandra and the Pollyanna. I did the Cassandra as the ones overly positive. But those that got the machinations that, we can save a community that's broken, that's not consistent with the great teacher Jesus said. Jesus said you can't take new wine and put it into old wineskins. And Christ was basically saying is that if the wineskins are damaged or broken, then you cannot pour into new wine. So men cannot pour into vessels that are broken. It can't be done. You will have to destroy the vessel and rebuild it back again. Because see, watch this. When men decide to use their seed, if you're a black men can take their seed and create with any woman and create a whole new community if they choose to. But we have not nurtured our men in a consistent manner, something that people don't want to talk about. And people overgeneralize based on their pain, and I call it trauma by proxy. And that's the problem there. Overgeneralization and trauma by proxy has been the death kill for many women. And so men are saying, what am I getting in return? What am I getting from a community and a society that does not honor and respect me as a man? And as I said before in the past, that a community without cannot be a community within. You can have a community without honor and respect and expect to have a fortress within. It doesn't work that way. And that's why I'm telling you men to raise up to mantle, to raise up your standards, to demand more. And many men are saying it's over with, and that's the case, so be it. It's not that I'm not against community. I'm not against community, but I'm a pragmatist, to say the least. But in the meantime, let me read through some of these comments, guys, but also these super chats. Hold tight, guys, because this conversation is important. And guys, in the meantime, share the content, get the likes up. I really appreciate everybody taking the time to listen to me on the night, because this is going to be a good show, but also a very important show. I'm going to have a call-in line where men come up and share their misgrievances, and more or less we're going to have a comparative analysis. To those that believe that the community is still savable, we're going to have a debate. To those that think the community is dead, I want you to come up as well. So we're going to have a balanced panel of those that believe the community can be saved, but also a balanced panel of those that don't think it can be. And I'm going to tell you something straight away. If you come up, you must cam up. Also, you must be respectful, because if your mouth gets slick, you will get blocked. I don't have a problem with a cogent conversation where there's respect. But if your mouth gets slick, you get disrespectful towards me, the panel, or any other people that are listening, you will be permanently banned from my channel. So once again, I hope I make myself clear. But in the meantime, guys, let me read through some of these super stickers. Thank you guys for being so kind on tonight. This is going to be a great show. Because I'm going to drop some fire for your mind, because your mind
fire for your mind.
There's so many C in this modern world that we have now. So let me look at through some of these comments, guys, and read through some of these super chats. Hold on. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, okay. Guys, the audio came in. Okay, hold tight. Shout out to my man Passport OG. He said that I'm 100% for black men clinicians. This channel is so important. Cook, brother, no doubt. I'm definitely going to do it, man. I'm going to definitely cook. Shout out to the young lion. Sir Hill Speaks, much respect for coaching, no doubt. Shout out to him. Sir Hill Speaks, he got that lion swag like me. And because Sir Hill Speaks got that lion swag, I always got to say this, guys. I got to say it. I got to always say this. Fire for your mind.
Fire
for your mind. The culture tradition. The fire for your mind, because your mind must be illuminated of the thinking arrows that you have. So many of you men have been conditioned to see yourselves as less than, and we call it in the clinical world the minimization of masculinity, something I've talked about in several shows. But it's time for men, once again, to amplify what it means to be a man. And my job is to help you corral the negative thoughts that you've had, to dissipate them and burn them, and to eviscerate those thoughts, and to more or less remodify those negative thoughts with new thoughts that are more or less giving you the outcomes that you so desire and you so deserve. So let me finish reading some of these super stickers. Hold on, guys. Shout out to him. Shout out to my man, Dewan Hollis. He says, over with for the $5 super sticker. Thank you, Dewan. Shout out to Sheik C. White. He said, focus on yourself, and the community will go where the man goes. Yes, sir, because he cares to see. Build with quality women. No doubt, I agree with you 1,000%, brother. Shout out to boss Don Data. He said this is still only a conversation. When brothers really pull up, that's the end game. But honestly, we're still here in the States mostly from that. Well, some are moving on. We're starting a movement. And if you guys feel like you can't find your wife here, you got to go abroad. I'm not against that. Shout out to Noble Royalty. He said that this black community is done, in the words of Usher, let it burn. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, a lot of brothers say it's done, man. And I think it's done. You cannot have a community without and expect to have a community within. Relationships about reciprocity. It's not about entitlement. And once again, the Y generation is considered to be the most entitled and narcissistic generation that's ever existed. Those from the age of 19 to 25 consist of what they call entitled narcissistic kids. And, men are saying, enough is enough. I told you guys, you decide who you marry. She can only hope to get married. She can marry a man that she does not want to marry. But that man that's a 10 and that woman that's a 10, if that 10 man says, I don't want to marry you, she can never get married. Women are the gatekeepers to sex. Men are the gatekeepers to relationships. But the sad thing is this, the things that men want from a woman is virtue. Her virtue is her ability to be chaste. Her virtue is her nurturing and her soft skills. Her virtue is discipline. I'm going to do a show on that on Saturday, because the title of that show is that she must be a soldier. If she's not a soldier, then she's not ready for the office of marriage. She's not ready for it. And so we're going to have a good show on tonight, guys. Let me mention a shout out to my man Cody Marshall. Shout out to him. He said, I stay away from the low-hanging fruit. Yeah, man, yeah, that's what it's all about. Because see, watch this. The churches are not talking about this, and I grew up in church. And I'm not here to denigrate churches. I promise you, I'm not here to denigrate the church. I grew up in church. But the problem is this: if you're not talking about fairness and equity as it relates to men, then you're not preaching the full gospel. The full gospel is about balance, honor, and equity. And so when men don't get their needs met, they're not productive. I'm going to say it again. When men don't get their needs met, they're not productive. And this, like Sir Hale Speaks said, he said it so poetically. He said, let your nuts hang. And he's right. Dr. King said, let freedom ring. And Sir Hale Speaks said, let your nuts hang. And men got to feel like they can be in an environment where they can let their testicles hang. Because see, some men, the testicles are, like Peaceful Life said, behind a rice jar. Some men, the testicles are tied up, and men are saying enough is enough. It's time for men to amplify masculinity. And what men are saying is this. They're saying that they're going to go a place where their money goes far and also their sex sales go far. Because basically what they mean by that, their money goes far and also their ejaculate goes far. And then basically what it means is this. When you get a feminine woman from a feminine country, when you have that big O, it's going to shoot out even further because she's a feminine woman. But see, men here are so stressed out and drained. Shout out to my man Tim Howell laughing. But men here are so stressed out and drained that, when they shoot that cannon, they just have little driblets. They have driblets when they shoot that cannon. But men are saying they're going to go where their money goes far and their ejaculate goes very far because they got a feminine, soft, kind woman that's pouring life into her and allow him to pour life back into her. Shout out to my man,
Shout out to my man, Malo, the international mango lover. He said the community has gone down a spiral to a point of irreparable. I totally agree with you 1,000%, brother. You're 1,000% right. You are 1,000% correct. And that's the issue with this current sad community. But here's the problem, guys. And once again, guys, thank you for tuning in to the 86 of the Watch. And I appreciate it, guys. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate it because I got a good show this week. You guys going to love what I got for you guys this weekend. It's going to be a good one because once again, to all those that are advocating for community building, it will not work unless you build it correctly. If the house is not built correctly, it will not stand. And people are trying to build a house on faulty land. So is SYSBM the answer? That's the question. Is SYSBM the answer? And here's the thing, guys. Here's the deal. The thing about SYSBM. SYSBM is a guy, the mad bus driver, I believe. I look at it for SYSBM more as a more softer approach. But that brother is radical when it comes down to what he believes. He don't even believe that you should date, I don't know, I'm not going to say women of ADOS descent, but he's more about dating, and I don't want to quote him wrong, women that are Caucasian or also Asian or whatever. That's his motto. But most men that travel, that are single, they love black women. I'm married to a black woman. I've been married for 26 years. Not that it matters, but I particularly have a strong love for black women, but the current behaviors of many modern black women are deplorable. And I'm from the old school, and I would never tolerate what guys are tolerating now. You know, I would never tolerate. If I was a single man in the game, she got to come correct. She got to come correct. Her mouth got to be precise. She got to be feminine. I had a conversation with Red Lipstick Vibes. Awesome sister. We had a good conversation. And she would have to have some qualities like her. That sister got it together. She's one of the rare sisters. And she's one of those sisters, guys, you don't have to tell her how to be a woman. She already knows because she was raised right. But see, when you get women that have not been raised right, that woman is slowing up your mission when you got to stop and teach her how to be a woman that you need to help complete the mission. When a soldier come into the mission, into the army, that soldier has to be prepared for the war. There's something called the art of war, but you can't fight in war if you're not prepared for the mission. It's just not going to work. And anybody in the military, you guys know what I'm talking about. So let me finish reading through some of these comments, guys, and I got to show you guys something. Hold tight. This is going to be a good show. And tonight, trying to do like 5 things at one time, guys. Hold tight. Read through some of these comments. Gail Nelson, shout out to that dear sister. Gail is doing an awesome job with her YouTube channel. She's putting in the work. Gail Nelson is one of those few sisters of Ghanaian and also East Indian descent where she gets it and she understands it. And so men are looking for traditional women like her that gets it and understand it. They come into the marriage understanding what their mission is and being willing to serve. And we're not saying the foreign women are perfect. They're not. They're human. But your life is a lot better when you come into a relationship with a woman that's been conditioned and trained to serve you as a man. Because see, watch this. If she's not willing to serve you, then she don't deserve your last name. She does not deserve your last name if she's not willing to serve you. Men need women that can be inspirational, women that can pour life into them. He pours into her, but that man turns around and he pours into her and she turns around and pours back into him. And she pours back into him by reflecting him and his mission. If she's not mission focused, she's broken based on what she saw in her past. If she's broken because of abandonment, then she's not ready to be a wife. She's not ready for it. She has to do the work in order to get your last name, but also to be the wife. But see, watch this. This is what happens with many modern women. Many, they bait and switch. And they'll tell you, oh, baby, I love you. Oh, it's all about you, baby, and all this stuff. But many guys, once they get that ring, like Smeagol did on Lord of the Rings, this is what happens. Oh, yeah, they can. They get a schema affliction, guys. They get a schema affliction. because they can't wear that mask but for so long. They start to change. They start percolating. Because they got a schema. That schema is based on pain and fear. They'll wear the mask, but they can't wear it but for so long. And see, when you get women that come into marriages that fake femininity or fake being traditional, it's going to be a strain in that marriage. And what that woman is doing, she's slowing down your mission. Men are dying off earlier. They did a study that used to say that men in marriages live longer, but that's a myth. Men live longer in marriages where the women are cooperative, feminine, and kind. Men can't be their best when they're stressed out. Women don't understand that they kill their men slowly when that man, especially if he's a good man. If he's a sorry man, we're not talking about sorry men. But we're talking about hard-working, blue-collar, white-collar men. They have a good heart. They love their woman. They love their children. We're talking about good men. Another thing, guys, she can't be a woman for the mission because she's been imprinted. She's been imprinted hard. And we're going to talk about that at some point. We're going to talk about a condition called hybristophilia. But in the meantime, Gail Nelson said they are trying to pass a bill so pregnant women can get child support from conception and for proof of paternity. The mother has to consent, right? But they say save your community, black men. What fool will save a community that does not honor and respect men or respect fairness? Gail Nelson said that once again, they're trying to pass a bill so pregnant women can get child support from conception. And you know about paternity fraud, guys. We don't know if that's that man's child. And for proof of paternity, the mother has to consent. And it's crazy, guys. It is crazy. And that's the world that we are living in. That's the world that we're living in, guys. Thank you, Gail Nelson. Thank you, dear. I appreciate it. But in the meantime, guys, we're going to have a good show. We're going to have a call-in. We'll have a call-in on tonight. Hold on for a minute. Friends reading some of these comments. Yes, everybody's getting on their plane. The SYSBM. Shout out to my man, Andrew Baker. Shout out to the homie, Andrew. I haven't seen you in a while. Shout out to Andrew Baker, always showing love and support. I really appreciate it. I appreciate it, Andrew Baker. Gail Nelson said exactly. So many women, as long as she is pregnant, prego, can point to any man that asks for child support. Is asked for if he asks for paternity test, he needs her consent. Wow, that is crazy. He needs her consent to ask for. Man, this system is broken, man. And you men would be a fool to try to save a system that's designed to depower you as a man. That's why I say if I was a single man, I would not even look at most women here in America. I wouldn't even look at them. Not because I'm not saying there's not some decent women here, but the system is not fair and balanced. And to those women that believe in marriage, then you need to go fight to change the laws. But it's not a fair system for men, and it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. Shout out to Lavelle Robinson. The women have to be on board, willing to cooperate unconditionally. These are women unwilling to do that. Let them have their way and enjoy the cesspool they create. No doubt, Lavelle. I appreciate it, brother. You're right, Gail. Gail, it is a Republican state. It is a Republican state. You guys are 1,000% correct. But in the meantime, guys, I want to show you guys something. I was in the Bull City yesterday, and if you know anything about the Bull City, if you know anything about North Carolina, also the greatest state in the union, as I always boast, where the topography is serene, pristine, and also verdant green, was more or less posthumously known for its excellence. At one time, North Carolina Central, guys, was known as the Harvard of the South. Wilmington was known as a vestige of Black Wall Street. But that was a time when the women were cooperative, the women were fit, the women were kind, and the women knew the importance of serving their men. Many of our men back then would be farmers, and they would let the women go back to school. Because most women that were of the old schools, they were teachers. Most women professions of the past is that they were teachers. And teaching was a noble profession back then, but it's no longer. But I'm going to show you guys something real quick. I'm going to show you guys something. I was in the Bull City on yesterday, and I'm going to show you guys something. Actually, let me see if I can find that video. And I'm going to show you, brothers and sisters, real quick. And then we're going to have a call-in line. We're going to have a call-in line, guys, and we're going to have a great discussion. I want to hear from both sides, SYSBM or Save Your Community Black Man. That's the question. But in the meantime, let me bring this up, and I'm going to show you guys something. And shout out to William Salter. He talked about something that I know and understand about something called Uncle Tom 2. So shout out to Wim Salter for that. Shout out to that brother. But I'm gonna show you the clip, guys. I was on my lunch break on yesterday, and I did a clip when I was in the Bull City, talking about what we're talking about on tonight, because it's a very touchy conversation, but it's one that needs to be discussed. And so let me pull that clip up, because I was in the Bull City on yesterday. Hold tight. All right, here we go, guys. Here we go. Of course, the home of greatness, the home of brilliance, the home of scholars, the home of Michael Jordan, the home of Shirley Caesar, the home of Dr. Billy Graham, the greatest evangelist in the world, the home of some of the best academic institutions in the world. Of course, the Tar Heels, North Carolina, no doubt Tar Heel swag turned up. NCCU, which was the Harvard of the South, and also Durham being the home of Black Wall Street. Now, I want to say something, guys, because this is a conversation that needs to be addressed. Many times, guys, we talk about the importance of community, and here, guys, you can see great icons from the past that were relics in Black Reformation and also in the Black community. There was a time, guys, where there was a community where women honored themselves, they respected themselves, and the men were respected and honored too. The title of today, guys, is a community without cannot be a community within. You can't have a community without the honor and respect of men to help build that said community. As you guys can see, these are some of the famous civil rights activists, some famous icons for Black excellence of the past. As you guys know, Black Wall Street was an icon here in the Bull City. Durham was known as Black Wall Street at one time. The Bull City was known as an icon for great excellence. Here you got Floyd McKissick. Floyd McKissick, he was a civil rights leader and attorney, one of the first African-American students admitted to the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, my alma mater. He spoke on Washington in 1963, became the leader of the Congress of Racial Equity in 1966, and proposed and planned a community called Soul City in Warren City. And this what the difference was back then. It was a community that was not without the honor and respect of masculinity and leadership. Many times we talk here in the greater confines of the world about community building, but you can't have a community without and expect to have a community within as it relates to Black male excellence. You can't have that. Here's another prominent Black business owner that was part of Black Wall Street. Black Wall Street, once again, is iconic for Black excellence. But not only just Black excellence, the excellence of American men in general, but because Black men historically have been oppressed and have been relics of distress, highlight the importance of Black men and Black excellence. And so you can't have a community without the honor and respect of men, expect to have a community within support. You can't have both. A community without the honor and respect of men cannot be a community within the confines of protection. So Stanford Lee Warren, he was a physician, a businessman who co-founded Lincoln Hospital, Mechanics, and Farmers Bank. As you guys know, Mechanics and Farmers Bank is a prominent bank in North Carolina. One of the first Black-owned banks, donated $4,000 for the construction of the Durham Colored Library, North Carolina's first public library for African Americans. Now a branch of Durham County Library was made in his honor. As you guys see here on this side, it's NC Mutual Life Insurance Company. This was an icon for Black excellence, as it was one of the first places where insurance brokers brokered together, and they were all Black-owned. So as you see, guys, Durham, North Carolina was the epicenter of excellence and greatness for people of color in the past. But what's stopping us from being successful? Again, I would say a community where men are not honored and respected. You can't have a community within. You cannot have a community within when you got a community without the honor, respect, and the psychological preservation of Black men. I'm gonna say it again. You cannot have a community within when you don't have the honor and respect of heteronormative masculinity in Black men in America. This is Durham, North Carolina, part of the greatest state in the Union, the Bull City. Wilmington, North Carolina was also known as an icon of Black excellence in the past. Wilmington, North Carolina was as well. But I want to talk about something, guys, that's been on my mind for a while. You hear it all the time. People talk about save yourself, Black man, which I think is a powerful moniker.
but also save yourself, black community. But I say this, and I said it before in the past. How can you save a community, guys, that have not consistently in these recent years invested in the mental and the physical wellness of men of color? I'm gonna say it again. How can black men be expected to give their best, to give their love, their honor and support, to give their time, their finances, their power, and their protection to a community that consistently does not honor and respect their men? As you guys can see right here, that's Duke University. Duke University is one of the greatest schools in the country. I think it was ranked historically number 12 in the nation, behind Cal Berkeley. Duke University is on the other end. We got North Carolina Central, then we got UNC Chapel Hill. But this is the greatest state in the union, guys. North Carolina is known for clinical research, as you guys can see. But back to what I was saying again, you know, there's been a war of words as it relates, guys, to the roles that men of color should play in the evolution of community building. And as I said before in the past, a community without the honor and respect of men cannot be a community within the confines of protection and love. Men are at their best when they honor and respect. They're at their best. Men are also at their best when they have a vision and they have people or women within their lives that can help support their vision and their mission. But you guys know here recently we have what's called the soft girl era, which I said before in the past, it's only the salt girl era. It's a bunch of, sadly, some bitter women, not all. And they're more or less trying to use the time clock as a come up to get the man that they wanted. Many times men that they rejected in their earlier years, only to hope to get a decent man now. But as I said before, guys, in the past, your worth is more important than her need. I'm going to say it again. Your worth is more important than her need. As a licensed professional, as I always said, guys, in the past, relationships are at its best where the man and the woman both benefit. It got to be a cost-benefit analysis where she benefits and he benefits. But your worth is greater than her need, guys, when you put in the work, you study hard, you prepared yourself mentally and financially and physically, you've given her the best, you've given yourself the best, and you went through all the labor and the mental distress and the disrespect, and you come at the pinnacle of your success. And because you are at the pinnacle of your success, you should never settle for mediocrity. You should never settle for anything that's not consistent with helping you push your mission forward as a man. The problem with SY, Save Yourself Black Community, is this. It only looks at the power of black men when it comes down to servitude. I told you guys before in the past, it's a concept that I decided to use called dimorphic thinking. And when it comes down to power, guys, many times, some of our women, not all, shout out to all the good sisters, because I believe there's some good women that are listening. So I want to send a special shout out to all the good women. But when it comes down to dimorphic thinking, when it comes down to power, they talk about what's best for them. You saw in the last election, part of that was the Chucks and Pearls movement. But when it comes down to servitude for community, then they want black men to give their resources, their time, their love, their support, and their energy. But when you look at on the back end, you're not supporting them. Your worth is more important than her need, man, because the part of male empowerment is knowing what your worth is. I've said before in the past that you got to live your life on your own terms, unapologetic, because excellence is built off of other excellence. Excellence is built off men galvanizing one another to become the better versions of themselves. Our progenitors here in the greatest state of the Union, the Tar Heel State, could not have been great unless they had a community that supported their vision, but also our women that helped galvanize them sharply as men. Men are at their best when they have humble women, awesome women, that not only support them, but honor them, reverence them, and respect them. But a man cannot be himself or be his best when he doesn't have the proper women that are galvanizing him to help him become the better version of himself. That's what made founders of Black Wall Street so great, because we had soft, feminine women, and we had honorable women that were willing to galvanize their men. You see here now, John Myrick. John Myrick was one of the progenitors of Black Wall Street. They even have an elementary school honor in his name. That's when black excellence was at its highest and at its best, when they were working together. The women were feminine, the women were respectful, And they were willing to pour into their men, and the men were able to pour back into them. But black men can no longer give their best, not just black men, all men can no longer give their best to a group of women that will not self-introspect, that will not take accountability for their bad behaviors, that will not more or less see where the error of their way has been, and that are not willing to sacrifice and more or less submit to the authority of their husbands. It would never happen again. That's why when people talk about a community, it's not going to happen again in our lifetime. It's going to be a while before it happens. The current epicenter or the current building must be burnt down. You're going to tear down what you built up, and then hopefully it'll rise back up strong again. You cannot build a foundation off of brokenness. You can't do it. A house that's built on sand will eventually succumb to itself, but a house that's built on bricks will stand. We don't have masculine authority anymore in our communities. We don't have men that know what their worth is. We have men that defer their power instead of demanding their power in relationships. And so once again, you cannot have black excellence where you have a community without expecting to have a community within. You can't have a community without the honor and respect of men. You cannot have a community without the honor and respect of young boys. Because if you want to have a community within, you got to have a community where men are honored and respected, where our boys are raised up to have some level of high self-esteem, and not to settle, guys, for mediocrity. And that's been the whole issue with many of our boys now. They settle for mediocrity. As I said before in the past on prior shows, Harriet Tubman said, I could have freed a lot more that they're not already known that they are slaves. Guys, some of you are slaves to psychological abuse of the past, whether it be your community, whether it be your mothers, whether it be your fathers that were never in your life.
And guys, that's why these conversations are so important. That's why these conversations are important, because you have many people that are ignorant, many that always talk about, what have black men done? Black men have done a lot within the confines of systemic racism. A lot of folks have magical thinking. They assume, that black men are superheroes, that they're not given a fair opportunity, a fair chance, and all of a sudden they're supposed to morph into greatness. But I would challenge anyone to look at history and look at it objectively, and you will see what black men have done to this country. You take away the black man and black labor, there is no America. Black slave labor, mostly men, because we were the original ones here, built this country with our blood, sweat, and tears. The freedom fighters, the arbiters that built certain schools were black men. We done all of this or did all of this within the confines of Jim Crow racism. But every time black men were starting movements, like in Durham, North Carolina, you had redlining or them changing the trajectory. When you talk about Wilmington, they had race riots. When you talk about Tulsa, they all use either gerrymandering, redlining, or any other nefarious means to subvert movements. And so you can't expect black men to be supermen when they're not given fair and equal opportunity. Now, I don't believe in victimhood or victim mentality because I do believe in group economics. But there are too many variables to more or less look at from an anthropological but also a social perspective to more or less give a fair and a proper analysis. That's why when people look at things only from a surface level, they don't see all the various nuances that have played a role in more or less slowing down the advancement of men. I will say that we were a lot better prior integration. But it seemed like after we got integrated, we lost our mission and our focus. Our women were more supportive back then. But they were hoodwinked. They were mobilized and used too. They were agent provocateurs. But, when you get trolls and clowns that come in, bumping their gums, they talk out of ignorance. And I had a conversation, guys, with a guy. He was a Jamaican. And he was talking about black men, what they've done, X, Y, Z. But when you look at the infrastructure of America compared to any infrastructure in the world, the Eritrean that came in, their infrastructure is inferior compared to America. But, a lot of times some of these African immigrants, they bump their gums, they live in third world countries. Some still live in huts. But they want to talk about what black men have done to America. I would say go do the research. Go do comprehensive books with an open mind instead of being a fool and being generalistic. Shout out to my man, Andrew Baker, for that $20 super sticker. He says, salute Kosher. It's not worth saving the current black community, but build our own community with more supportive, loyal, and appreciative women, get your passports. No doubt, I agree with you 1,000%, brother. I agree with you, Andrew Baker. That's a deal, right? And Andrew Baker, because of your love and your also kind love and your support on this channel, Andrew Baker, with that $20 super chat, Andrew Baker, you are the #1 sponsor of this stream. No doubt. So I'm going to finish playing this clip, guys, and we're going to have an open panel at some point. I want those that believe in SY Save Your Community Black Men to come up, but those that are proponents for Save Yourself Black Men to talk. It's going to be a fair exchange. It will be no disrespect. If your mouth gets slick to either the guest or the panel or either me, you will be permanently banned. You must cam up if I don't know you. So in the meantime, let's finish playing this clip, guys, real quick. Hold tight.
You've been a slave psychologically to the past. And you cannot rise above the morass because you are broken. You don't even know that you're broken. You've been so conditioned to this function that you think it's normal to accept bad behavior. But once again, this whole trope about save yourself black community, I think it's a good idea and it's a noble one, but it's not an idea that's substantiated.
And see, guys, I'm not against the concept of save your community black men. As I said earlier, the concept is a worthwhile thought, but it's not a thought that's based in equity or fairness. Ask yourself the question, what has the community done on a consistent level for the last 60 years for black men and black boys? What has the community done for black men and black boys in the last 60 years? And they have done nothing. When Obama was trying to pass my father's keeper initiative, whatever it was called, it was met with a lot of resentment. When Ice Cube was trying to pass initiatives for the community, a lot of our women had dimorphic thinking where they saw themselves outside of the whole or the construct of the black community. And what men are saying is this: why should I give my best to people that don't give their best back to me? Because with fair exchange, there is no robbery. It's no robbery with fair exchange. So keep listening, guys. We're going to have a conversation in a minute. Hold tight.
As I told you guys before in the past, human beings only respect power and strength. Our women of yesterday respected power. They respected their men. They had no other choice. They respected power because there was a consequence when you didn't respect power. But nowadays, so many men give their power because they've never seen masculinity in its fullest and its rarest form. But once again, guys, bring it to you live from the greatest state in the union, the Tar Heel State. Once again, black excellence was here at one point, but will it come back again? I don't think so. It's going to take a couple of generations for us to get it back to where it was. Too many competing factions and too many competing agendas, because a community without the honor and respect of men cannot be a community within. I'm going to say it again. A community without the honor and respect of men cannot be a community within. Your churches won't talk about it. Your institutions won't talk about it. Your schools won't talk about it because it goes against the status quo. But I can talk about it because I understand how behavior modification works. And this is not to cast aspersions to nobody. That's not my mission. But I'm trying to give you guys the footprints to what black excellence was in the past. That's what excellence was in the past. Men were honored for having blue-collar jobs. They weren't lambasted. They were honored for having a hard work ethic. The women supported their men that worked on farms. Because many times our men, when they worked on farms, sent their wives to schools so they can get higher education. But now you got men making $50,000 to $60,000 a year, and you got subpar women that'll tell you that's not enough. I'm trying to tell you guys, you need to tell them that you're not enough. You need to start telling those women that they are not enough. You're not adequate. Because if you busted your ass to become the best version of yourself, you have a right to tell her she's not enough and she's not adequate. There's a king that resides in every man. And every man wants that king, his crown, to be polished at some point. But if you got a woman that's not polishing your crown, guys, she don't need to be in your life. She don't need to be in your life if she's not polishing your crown. Righteous women polish the crowns of their men, then the men turn around and take care of their women. But when you're giving your love and protection to a woman for free, You can't build this so-called mythical community that so many are talking about. And because of that, guys, the only option that I can see now, this current milieu, is this. You have to save yourself. You have to save yourself from tyranny, social tyranny, Marxism, or whatever. You're going to save yourself and start loving yourself and start erecting walls within the confines of your mind so that you can get the best outcomes that you want. Because our ancestors understood it. Women like Patricia Hawkins, a regular nurse in the Lincoln Hospital, she understood it. She understood that she had to erect or change the laws in her mind. All these progenitors of the past, black or white, men and women, realized that there was a cost-benefit analysis for greatness. What are you willing, men, to do to get the cost-benefit analysis that you need? What are you willing to give up? What are you willing to give up to get what you want in a relationship? What are you willing to defer or demand, especially if you put in the work? You guys see these men over here working, building this new tower here in Bull City. These men have to give a cost-benefit analysis. Some lose their lives doing blue-collar work. If you're a blue-collar worker, shout out to you guys. Shout out to all the blue-collar workers that are listening. Because the world is nothing without blue-collar workers. The buildings that you guys see, that everybody benefits, men and women. It will be nothing without the sweat, blood, and tears of blue-collar workers. So shout out to the blue-collar workers. But once again, guys, what are you willing to give as it relates to excellence? What are you willing to give? What are you willing to do to become even a vestige of what our ancestors were years ago? Because our ancestors had to go through tyranny. They had to go through oppression. They had to go through a lot of things. But what's stopping you today? Because we're not going through what they went through. We're not going through it as much. I think sometimes the things we talk about is fabricated. Now's the opportunity, guys, for the men who've done the work to rise up above the level of mediocrity that you've given yourself. Start demanding more. Start exuding confidence. Start radiating high vibrations as men. Once you begin to do that, everything else will take care of yourself. So, guys, I'm about to sign off once again. This is a place of excellence. The Bull City, besides Wilmington, North Carolina, but there was black excellence. The Bull City of Black Wall Street. This is where it all began. And I need you guys to remember this. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. There are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male, and understanding how your worth as a man is important to the efficacy of your function is paramount if you want to build a mythical community that existed in the past. Be well.
All right, guys. So real quick, special shout out to my man. What's his name? Hold tight. My man, Counselor, Mr. G Live. He said, "I like your work. Just dropping off the divine 7 real quick, no doubt, because 7 is where it's at. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. And if it ain't kosher, it ain't right." So I appreciate that, man, because 7 is the number of completion. But some guys will argue that the community was sabotaged. And whether you're a conservative or whatever, you have to use pragmatism in your analysis of what's been going on. And I'll show you guys this clip. William Salter, shout out to William Salter, talked about this clip. And I hope they don't. I might have to delete it, guys. Not delete it, but trim it out because it probably won't get monetized. But I'm gonna show it to you guys anyway. I think it's very important. It's a clip. Let me show it to you guys real quick. And it's talking about the movie Uncle Tom. And I looked at the clip, man, and it made a lot of sense because it basically saying is that it was all by design. We all believe it was by design, but I want you guys to tell me what you guys think about it, so hold tight. Before I start, guys, this is fair use. This is for educational purposes only. It's fair use, I'm claiming fair use. I don't know if YouTube will see it that way, but it is fair use for educational purposes only, so hold tight.
When you look at these pictures, you get a sense of what black life was like.
Some of them look pretty prosperous.
Divine providence was clearly operating in the lives of black Americans.
Throughout history, black folks were honorable. They had integrity. That's what black people were.
And guys, this is what burns me up when you have goofballs coming on They don't study ADOS history. They never lived in America. Many of them come from subpar countries themselves. But instead of understanding and embracing the struggles of the people that built this country, they try to shame or minimize masculinity, not understanding that laws play a role in how men can move. If your laws are not congruent or symmetrical with the laws in America, then you need to shut your mouth. Because a theocracy is totally different than an oligarchy. And an oligarchy is totally different than a theocracy, a democracy. Government policies and government setups play a role in how men move and how all human beings move. Right now, we live in a quasi-patriarchy. It's not a true patriarchy because its premise is based on matriarchal thinking. It's no fair system for men to build with women in the West. It's just not. And a man will be a fool because the current or the typical, not all, but many, just don't meet the criteria of being a traditional woman.
Never taught that America was bad and that we were not Americans. We were raised to love America.
Protesters topple a statue of Christopher Columbus and hundreds of statues have been vandalized.
You see people trying to rewrite history.
The American people know these names have to go.
Why is that?
Whenever you have something to be proud of.
See, guys, mostly black men are traditional. We are traditional by nature. Most men are traditional. There was a time our women were very traditional and very conservative. And while I don't believe in per se certain political parties, I do believe in traditional relationships. But that's another story. Keep listening.
Out of people have less of a chance of controlling you.
This country is racist from top to bottom, from right to left. And for black people to become a part of that is for them to become, in fact, anti-black and to hate themselves. Y'all murder my friends!
There is no country in this world that a black person would rather be. Unless, of course, they grow up in this country.
You broke the contract with for 400 years. We played
Then
your game.
they're fed a lie that is so...
And basically what these saboteurs are doing, guys, they're selling you guys off of victimhood, but also wokeism. And a lot of that wokeism is tied to social Marxism. There's a book called The Naked Communist. That'll explain it all, but I got to be careful how I talk. But that will explain it all. It was all by design. It was by design then. It's even more by design now. They want to get you in your emotions so you can't see logic, so you can destroy the framework of America. Go look at how these policies slowly destroyed Venezuela. Luke Kaiser, she knows what I'm talking about. But America is beginning to look more like that as well.
So deceptive. The reason that lie exists is power.
There are certain people who are using the Negro in order to establish that power in Washington. And
Right. They use black people based on their own ignorance to more or less build their own power structures, which is more or less manipulation. And those that fail to see it because of liberal indoctrination, they blame men for everything. BLM was not, or is not, a movement that was about family or black heteronormative masculinity. It was about an alternative agenda, mostly supported by the alphabet and the trans movement. But you guys got to do the research, man. I'm not here to cast aspersions to no group. But if that group is not pro-family, pro-black man, or pro-whatever, then I can't support it. And many groups always use us as a means to push forth their agenda. But folks don't want to talk about that because they're too blinded by their own ignorance.
Negro is just merely a pawn in a game that's bigger than he is.
All right. So that's all we often call a Hegelian dialectic, but we'll talk about it in a minute, guys. But I'm going to drop the stream in a minute. We're going to have a good conversation, guys. You guys have been doing an awesome job. But in the meantime, guys, I need you guys to do me a favor, guys. Get the likes up. I think we're at 76. Get the likes up, guys. And in the meantime, support the stream by donating, but also share the content because I want to hear from the SYSBM brothers and also from the Save Your Community Black Man brothers and sisters as well. We're going to have a fair conversation. But go feed the algorithm. Now, I was listening to Shay Sharday. Shay is an awesome sister. Shout out to her. And I'm going to play a few clips because Obsidian gets it. And he gets it and I get it as well. But I'm going to show you guys something from a show that I was looking at with Shay. Hold tight. Let's see. Hold tight, guys. Let me pull this up real quick. And I'm going to show you guys something real quick. Hold tight. Here we go. So this was Shay Sharday. Shout out to that sister. She had a show with Obsidian and a couple more other people. And let's look at some of the things she was talking about. Because I do agree with her, culture is not static. Black people are not monolithic. And she talked about last 20 years, the marital trend is gone. So let's look at this. Shout out to Shay. Hold on. Because there are some that are proponents for this movement. There are some that are not. But in the meantime, guys, shout out to Gail Nelson. Gail Nelson said, I'm very new to creating content on YouTube. My video, Western Woman Created Their Own Problems, was blocked. Yeah, the censorship is crazy. Yeah, they don't want to hear the truth, guys. And you're right, Ms. Nelson. And thank you for that super chat. And once again, Gail Nelson is a sister from a traditional country. And anything that's pertaining or going against the status quo, you're automatically under scrutiny. They're going to come up with something called a social credit system at some point, but I'm not going to talk too much about it. But do your own research, and once you do your research, it'll make a lot of sense. But I'm going to show you guys something. Shay had a good show. I was actually donating on the show a couple of times. But tell me, guys, what you think about what's being said about this Save Your Community, Black men, because it's always Black love and Black unity, but you haven't done anything to build Black men. And, I heard Courtney Michelle, she was right when she went about trying to talk about supporting men. Women call her pick-me's and mammies. And, some have accused Courtney of being a chameleon. I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't have no issues with her. She's been cool to me. Shout out to that sister. She's never done anything to me. But even when women like her and other sisters begin to speak out, Chantel Simone and a few other sisters, they call them mammies and pick-me's. And you can't save a community where the women don't respect women that have logic. But I want you guys to listen to what was said, and then we're going to drop the link, and we're going to have a conversation.
That's what it is overall, there's been you could definitely say the last 20 years, but maybe even 30 or 40 years, that the marital trend has gone down across the board for all people of all races in the United States.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Because the marriage rate and the birth rate has pretty much No, that makes sense. So what are your thoughts? I know you have had a chance to listen, and do you have any particular thoughts or things that you want to weigh in, Mr. Obsidian, or anything you want to address with some of the things we've been talking up to this point?
Yeah, the whole question of the point that I made in both my books. And I don't know if I know Obi's familiar with them. I don't know if I don't know if he's familiar with the books of Obsidian. But yeah, the argument that I made in them was that I find very often that Black scholars don't address mating concerns in the larger context of our story in this country. So, how does racism impact it? I know scholars have written about it, but not in the way that I have. And I'm no scholar, but my argument was that as a result of the successes of the civil rights movement and other attendant movements of the 1960s and 70s, there were some unintended consequences that we didn't, perceive or didn't even really think about or consider. And one of those consequences was, as much as we may loathe to admit it, segregation forced us to get along, to tell you the truth, because we had a much bigger fish to fry. We were dealing with, day-to-day indignity and very real structural inequity and, potential, danger that has a way of kind of rallying the troops. And we kind of had to, put other, I guess you would say, first world concerns on the back burner. But after those things were largely taken care of, and this is something else that Black Americans are kind of loath to admit. We're kind of loath to admit that we basically won against racism. Today, we no longer have Jim Crow. We have this situation with the police, true. Every once in a while, you can make a smoking gun case for some type of structural inequity in some type of way. Every so often, you can make a case for that. Usually what things come down to today is in the area of what's somewhat referred to as a microaggression. That is to say, individual citizens, John Rocker, David Duke, people like that. Things of that nature. But the Bull Connor type stuff, whites and coloreds only type stuff, that's largely, been taken care of. And so we never considered how that would impact family formation, mating, we never really considered how that would impact it. And much of the, debate right now, much of the noise, I'll put it that way, much of the noise generated about swirling, about SYSBM, about passport, that's one of the unintended consequences of, defeating racism. I mean, we were truly set free. And if you're not free to be able to love who you want to love, then you're not free.
He's right.
So
he's right.
What I'm saying is that we're still kind of grappling with what it means to be free. In the most fundamental way, it means to be free.
So here's the part, guys. I want you guys to hit one. Do you feel like, in general, we know that there are some women that will and do, but in general will be more than average. In general, we know there's a percentage that will compete, but in general, guys, do you feel, to the 80 that are watching, that not only Western women in general, because it's not really a Black woman issue, it's a Western problem. But since most Black men have an affinity for Black women, do you feel that Black women are willing to compete for the love of Black men? If you feel like they're willing to compete, hit one. If you feel like they're not willing to compete, I need you guys to hit two. Hold tight.
That I don't, as you mentioned before.
Confidently, bro.
I haven't met enough Black people.
I did not know that there were certain foreheads that people in the Caribbean had.
I haven't met enough Black people. Come to Charleston.
That's news to me. As far as I know, Africa has the most, the most diversity.
Genetic diversity.
Yeah. So you will literally find.
I think smokescreen white, yo.
Huh?
I think smokescreen white.
Yeah, I had no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. So,
and the same thing for this guy Norman Henderson.
Shout out to my man. What's his name? His name is making her crazy for that $5 super sticker. He said, support the stream. $5 for your mind. Appreciate you. No doubt. I appreciate the brother. Thank you, sir. Thank you for that $5 super sticker. Hold tight. We're going to drop the link in a minute. Hold tight.
I don't know who he's speaking to. He's very active in the chat. I have no idea who he's addressing, but he's making a lot of, making a lot of noise. I'll put it that way.
Okay, I'll have to be in the lookout. Shout out to Mr. Bobby Wright, who's everywhere all the time. Do Black women think Black men are worth competing for? I think that's a very, very, very valid question. As you mentioned before,
the answer is no. Kevin already answered the question. The answer is no. He did a broadcast called Words to This Effect. You can search it. It's called basically Black women think that black men are free. It's like a charity. So the answer is no.
Okay. I don't know if you guys want to weigh in on that.
Oh, that hasn't been my experience.
You said that hasn't?
You know me all the time, so Black women, well, all women, but I only date Black women, so yeah.
Okay,
so
what you're saying that has not been your experience?
No, not.
But what people don't understand, their anecdotal experience does not justify the mean. Shout out to the Hood Scholar, but their anecdotal experiences does not justify the mean. That goes for me, you, or anybody else. We can't equivocate our experience and say because of what we've been through, then other men are not experiencing it. Austin Holland is a young man that's talked about it, but hold tight.
Not one bit.
Okay. So you have had Black women who have definitely been willing to work with you, be loving,
everything,
things like
all of the above. I got a hotel room right now.
Okay.
I don't know too many stories, but yeah.
I'm not sure as an I'm going to take it you're an academic.
No, I'm a hood dude who's an academic. I got kicked out of university.
Oh, okay.
All right, so guys, we talked about the soft girl era in the past. Now they're talking about the soft girl era. I call it the salt girl era, but hold tight.
Not even still the importance of cultural loyalty, or even why you should love your culture, why you should love who you are. Because I think if people grow up knowing how to love themselves and have a strong sense of who they are in the history and what makes them unique and beautiful, then you don't have to police their dating so much, because they're going to naturally choose what they love. But without that, and I will be honest and say that I don't see that existing by and large, at least in the Black America, culture of women in Black America. Without that, then I think we kind of have what you have today, which is Black women deserve luxury, or this very individually based mindset, but there's no thought about the community top. That's what I would say as far as women are concerned. I could be wrong, but those are just observations.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem. My thing is, I have no problem with what the ladies want. That's not I have no issue in soft girl, like whatever you want to call it, lady of leisure, whatever. I have no problem with that in and of itself.
So guys, you see, I donate to the show, and I said there is no monolithic universality of Black consciousness. There never was. Selective servitude, when their power is not in her hands, men need care. So basically what I'm saying is that people always equivocate and assume that Black people are static in thought, and we're not. We're very fluid. And there's no monolithic universality of Black consciousness. There never was. Selective servitude, when there is, when the power is not in her hands. Men need care, and we do need care, as I was giving Shay Sade her sentiments.
My problem is, number one, that once again, we don't adhere to a standard of equality. We have one set of rules for Black men, and then we have one set of rules for Black women. That's one problem I have. The second problem I have when we're talking about this commitment to the community, insofar as who you marry and what the product of your union produces, I just looked it up. Robert F. Smith bailed out 400 brothers from Morehouse to the tune of 30.
All right, guys.
Better deal for me to go.
This one is, do you still have hope for Black love in America? If you have hope for Black love, I need you to hit 1. If you don't have hope, I need you, esteemed gentlemen, to hit 2. Hit 2 if you have no hope for Black love. Real quick, and then we're going to drop the link and we're going to have a conversation, because I want to hear you guys' comments. Hold tight.
What makes me happy.
Almost finished.
Forget about the community top.
I mean, if I can respond to that, and I only turn the camera off because I have my daughter. But
it's okay. No.
So the thing is, and this was kind of my point in the beginning. Black love, when I think about it, the way that I think about it, it's not like it's not butterflies and sugar and roses. It's we're literally fighting for our survival. We're literally fighting for our posterity. So it's not about convenience. However, I do understand the argument that does one owe the community a duty first, or does the community owe one a duty first? Mm-hmm. And does that dictate how, however a person feels responsible for or dismissive of the community? I think that's a good conversation. I think that's a good argument. I'm just saying that my position is one that if we are going to, that's right. If we're going to commit ourselves to rebuilding this Black community for the people who are interested, because I know some people, they just want to watch it burn. But for the people who are interested, if you're going to commit yourself to saving this community, there's some sacrifices that are necessary, and power and leadership have to be taken. And that's kind of what she's saying too. But that's pretty much my point, right? I'm not in the business of convincing people, and I think that's why I get some of the criticisms that I have. I'm just speaking to the people who haven't lost hope, the people who haven't lost faith. But if you're interested in an echo chamber that's just going to reaffirm what you already think, that's fine. Like I've said on several occasions, my work isn't necessarily for you. But for the people who are interested in the Black community, who are interested in the story I told you of little Black girls lighting up when they saw their mentor choosing somebody who looks like them, if you're interested in little Black boys not being exploited for their labor for the next 20 years or the next 40 years, then there's a different paradigm and a different approach that you must have in this conversation. But I understand some people are not interested in that. So yeah, save yourself, Black man.
I completely agree. I completely 100% agree with you on that, where it's like, again, going back to, because I definitely believe in, you know, working with those who are like-minded as much as I can. And also at the same time, it's like, you can't convince somebody who thinks that they want to take a different route. That's their right. That is their right. In America, if you want to, you know, focus on yourself or do what you think is best for yourself, and that doesn't include working with the community, like, no issues whatsoever. So I think we're adults enough to at least be able to have these conversations and, you know, agree sometimes, respectfully disagree. But I think if nothing else, you can walk away with some takeaways for sure. Shout out to the Kosher Clinician with the 5 on the super chat. It says there is no monolithic university of Black consciousness. There never was. Selective servitude when their power is not in her hands. Men need care. Shout out to you for the support. Also, we see Moto, the international mango lover. SYCBM is the only logical option at this point. The damage is beyond repair. I appreciate the damage is beyond repair. It will only get worse. Yeah, I know a lot of men are just like, you know what, this just isn't working for me. And with some of the different stuff I've experienced, and I'm sure Chantel Smoke can speak to this too. Some of the different stuff I've seen and experienced personally, it's like, I'm truly not mad at a man that says, you know what, American women or women in the West are not worth it for me. I'm gonna go abroad. It's like, I can't even get mad at that. I'm like, good luck.
You know, here's the thing with that though, if I may. So I've heard a number of ladies. Mm-hmm. I don't know the exact number of ladies who have weighed in negatively on this, mm-hmm. but I have heard a number of ladies online, I won't say their names, who have weighed in on this, and what they say is these brothers are dealing with third world, and I quote, dirty foot bitches, end of quote.
Oh God.
Okay, that's what the argument is, that these guys are going to the third.
And here's the sad thing: these same women that believe in the solidarity of women of the African diaspora, a lot of these women are women from African descent or of the diaspora. But see, they don't want to compete with you, but they want to shame you for exercising your options. And I tell you guys, recuse yourself of such folly and focus on yourself. That's the best means, and that's the best method. If you can't find your wife here in the West, which is hard to find, we're talking about traditional women that are wife ready, don't have a lot of baggage, then find your wife abroad or just focus on yourself. Real quick, and I'm gonna drop the link.
Third world to get women. Okay, all right, I'll take that. Here's my response. If you're losing to a dirty foot broad in the third world country, what does that say to you?
Yes, sir. What does that say about you? What does that say about you?
If you cannot beat the competition in a third world country with dirty feet, what does that say about you?
Right.
That's my response.
I mean, honestly, and this is something that I mentioned before, where it's like,
all right. So we're gonna stop that, and then we're gonna drop the link. All right. So Ingram, come on up, man. We're gonna chop it up, Ingram. You can come to Ingram. But in the meantime, guys, we finally did it. 5,000 subs. We're gonna have a 5,000 sub party. I had wanted to have a party at one point in the past, but I just never did it. I just didn't think it was necessary, but I'm going to have a party at some point, a 5K sub party. I want to give a kind thank you to everyone that's been supportive of me on this mission. Being a licensed therapist and being a content creator is extremely hard. It's very hard to be creative and come up with entertaining content. And I just want to give a special thanks to everyone that supported me on this mission. A Peaceful Life, Top Gun the Sniper, James Turner, Andrew Baker, Alton Prayer, Nice Sometimes, Gail Nelson, Luke Casely. I want to give a cordial thanks to Gail at Night. She's been awesome. She helped me with a lot of my building when I was on the lead attorney. Shout out to the lead attorney. He was very inspirational, but more or less instrumental in helping me to some degree. In the earlier stages, I sure have a great appreciation from him. But for the most part, guys, I got it from the mud, and I've been grinding ever since. After I got over 1,000, I just went haywire, and I've been killing the game, and I'm gonna get better with it. But in the meantime, I just want to give a special thanks to everyone. You guys have been awesome. If I have not called your name out, I want to tell you guys about my support. Also, XL Pro. XL Pro has been very kind. I really appreciate XL Pro. Who else? XL Pro, Nice Sometimes. It's been a few guys, but anyway, I want to send us Gregory Scotland. He's one. Gregory Scotland has been an ardent supporter, and many, many, many more. And guys, if I missed you, I apologize. I can't think of everybody. I didn't write it down, but I'm forever grateful and forever honored. We finally got the 5K, and we're gonna keep grinding, man. And really, it's not really about subscribers numbers. It's about the quality of the content, because you can have 100,000 subscribers and barely have anybody on your live stream. Shout out to Tim Howard. He said that congrats on getting 5,000 subscribers. Coach, you're well deserved. SYSBM passport travel, no doubt. Thank you, Tim Howard. And Tim Howard, thank you too. Tim Howard has been instrumental. I got nothing but love for Tim Howard. Tim Howard was one of my original moderators. He's supportive of male content. Him and Gail were. Then Top Gun, he's been holding me down. And then the new moderators now. Guys, forever grateful, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, guys, 100%. Shout out to Barry Hamilton. He said that black men are in a similar position like the panda bear in a cage with female equivalent, with his back to him and failing to reproduce. Happiness is number one, no doubt. Shout out to Andrew Baker. He said, congrats on the 5K subs. Well deserved, no doubt, and much more. I appreciate it, Andrew Baker. You've been an awesome supporter. And yeah, that's funny. Gregory Scotland said many different types of black individuals in the community. Some are Christians, Muslim, Jewish, no doubt. You're right. Yeah, we're not static. You're right, Gregory Scott. Shout out to Yosef Benjamin for the $3 super sticker. Thank you. And Gregory Scotland, you and Andrew Baker are the number one sponsor of the stream. He says sleep kosher, very important content creative. And once again, Andrew Baker, you are one of, you and Andrew Baker, you guys are the number one sponsors of the stream. Thank you. All right, guys, we got my man A Peaceful Life. He's in the house. And that's my homie, the 6'7", 6'8" swing man. Played ball for Seton Hall, man. He was in former law enforcement like myself. And Engel can tell you something about community, guys. He's real funny. That's my homie. But Peaceful Life, how you doing, sir? Unmute yourself. And guys, the link has been dropped. Let's have a cogent conversation for the men and the women to come up. You must be respectful. If not, your mouth, I'm going to get this work. Your mouth got to be very kosher. If not, you're going to be booted out of the stream. You can come on and have a cogent conversation, respectful conversation. But if you're disrespectful, you're going to get this work. But go ahead, Ingrid, what do you think about this conversation, man, about SYSBM or Save Your Community, black man? Because in my mind, I think it's very offensive to expect black men to give free servitude when you've not given them anything in return. I think it's a slap in the face. But what's your take on it, brother?
Well, first of all, congratulations to the 5,000 subs, man. We got to take this all the way to 100,000. 5,000, 10,000, then 100,000.
I appreciate it, man.
This content is most necessary, man. But I tell you what, man, that comeback that Obsidian has, that was like a big time takedown for somebody that's, I call them the king simp, simping and virtue signaling on YouTube for women. And I think you see a lot of men that come into these spaces with that simp mentality, and what they're really doing is they're defining their success with women as your ability to smash women. Any man with with a pocket with some dollar bills, and they can be successful in the current environment, because of the standards is so low. And being able to have a sustainable, healthy relationship and build community is what I consider to be successful situation with women, not just being able to smash. I mean, anybody can do that nowadays. We just had a situation with the women that come on. The one woman we saw in the space that's currently trending that slept with 2,000 men. So obviously that's not a real good objective. But in terms of the way that that you're talking about, in terms of, they don't expect Black men to have any standards. And you see these people talking about community, they always talk about it in reference to what men have to do and sacrifice their life for a community that does not respect, honor, or care about Black men. And you see these guys come, they want sacrifice or servitude without any respect and honor. And I think it's more of a welfare mentality because of the standards that are set for Black men. And I think that's completely absurd. And I'm glad Obsidian addressed some of that.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. Shout out also to Nart Perspective. Nart Perspective, I call him the Little Hobbit. We saw him in... That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's another brother. Right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? In the earlier stages of my epigenesis and my movement and my growth, Nart Perspective, I call him the young lion. He's always been very supportive. And also shout out to Sir Hill Speaks. Sir Hill Speaks has done an awesome job as well. Sir Hill Speaks has always been very kind with his donations, his time, his love, and support. He's been very generous. Shout out to El Guapo of Beautiful Lies. He's been another one. And many, many, many more. Guapo, Nart Perspective, Sir Hill Speaks. So many I can't name, but I forgot about Nart. Nart, the Little Hobbit. I call him the Little Leo Hobbit, man. He's been showing a lot of love. But guys, a link has been dropped. Come on and talk. Let's talk about it, because this is a live call-in. We're going to assume that Ingram is SYSBM, but
I'm just pro competitive. That's what it's not even. It's about people offering value to other people and improving their lives. And I just don't believe in this idea that Black men owe some servitude to people that are not competitive. If you're not competitive, what do you expect Black men to do except mediocrity? Isn't that saying that we're lesser of men than accept mediocrity from women? And I think that's absurd.
I totally agree. Brother Youssef, you are a millennial, and they did studies that says that post-Y generation, 19 to 25, and millennials are the most selfish and narcissistic. And I'm sure as a young man, you've experienced levels of narcissism with Western women. What's your take on SYSBM versus Save Your Community, Black man? What's your take, brother?
I'm 34, so I'm not quite like as young as the generation is today that has a much more toxic view of relationships amongst each other. It's a lot more, for lack of better words, hoeing around than it was when I was growing up, even though, of course, it existed in earlier generations than myself as well. But I just don't remember it being the way that it is now, where it's promoted. So my mindset is actually kind of a bit of a both.
Okay, talk about it.
I think the whole save yourself Black man, or save the community Black man, I think if it's going to be save the community, there has to be conditions to it. But I think they're looking for unconditional, almost like the bowing down to, or just giving oneself, sacrificing oneself at all costs, with no rules, no regulations, just lay down yourself, lay your life on the line, sit on the sword, and by any means necessary, even at the cost of your own happiness, at the expense of your own joy, at the price of your own freedom. So that's what I think they're looking for. So I'm not against it, but if these same people who are arguing for saving the community, if they weren't so, and I guess I'm speaking for the women in this case who are saying, well, man should be man. If they were a real man, they would stick around and help and build a community. Well, if you were a real woman, you would then also listen to those men who are looking to build that community. You would make it conducive for for those men to come and build a community. If they were in their rightful natural position as women, feminine, we would be compelled to build a community. It wouldn't be us trying to leave from the community. So there are conditions to it, and what they want is unconditional community building. As far as the Save Yourself Black man, I say, I am as unselfish as I am also selfish. So I do believe in putting myself first. I don't believe in the whole sacrificial lamb. You know, Jesus has to, be like Jesus, be the Christ give himself on the cross. I don't think that's not my personality, and that's not a lot of men's personality. And I think a lot of them try to put themselves in that box, and they end up sacrificing their own happiness, and they fall into depression, suicidal thoughts, and then they go into this cycle where you don't spend your whole life not living it to the fullest because you want to please people who don't want to follow rules, regulations, guidelines, or standards.
Right. I totally agree. Shout out to the young lion. Hold on. Shout out to that's my dear lady, sister TT's. Sister TT's. Shout out to Chantel Simone. That's the exalted lioness, guys. We got to protect her at all costs. That's my dear friend. I love Chantel. She got that Leo Janae Qua.
Is she coming through?
She can if she want to. But guys, so the question remains, you got some that are SYSBM, and then you got some that believe in Save Yourself, the Black community. It sounds like the men are talking about Save Yourself, Black men, because I believe that guys have an inherent worth. And also I want to send a special shout out to Security Boss. She's one of the few sisters. I met her and her husband. I call him Leo. He got that Leo swag like me. He ain't quite as tall as me, but he a big dude. He got that nasty Corvette. Shout out to Security Boss and Chief Boss. Shout out to them. They have been very instrumental in my success. Well, not in my success per se, but collaborating and supporting the channel. And I appreciate them. And I've got nothing but love and respect for Security Boss. Shout out to her. Shout out to Chantel Simone as well. Shout out to Shalakemia Moffat. She's been one. Shout out to her. I forgot all about her. And shout out to Shay Charday and many more. If I forgot you guys, don't take it personal. I just, my brain is as young as it used to be. But I appreciate it, man. But in the meantime, shout out to my man, Pastor, I don't know what his name is, Pastor AK Life. Meet yourself, brother, and let me meet you. And what's your take on this SYSBM, Save Yourself Black community concept? And you can turn your music down in the back, too. I appreciate it, bro.
Oh, man, my bad. I forgot that it was, totally my bad, man.
You okay?
The thing is, man, when it comes to this, I've had this same conversation. And when it boils down to it, it's about men getting themselves the best option that's for them.
Yes,
so
sir.
I think it's a great thing for men to step out and to expand just to expand. Because what it does is when we look at it from that holistic point of view, if more men are stepping out, going out there, finding themselves a better deal, well, that means that the women that are left here are left with a shortage of men. It's basic supply and demand on the economics.
Yes, sir. Right.
So now they got to struggle and fight just to try to get somewhere with the men that are left, which is going to automatically elevate those men there to get a better deal as well. So I am totally for it. I'm happy for those brothers going out there doing their thing. Go do your thing, but just don't make it about you going spending $20 and because what I found out, that's what a lot of it is about, right? It's about them going there and just having fun. But if you're going there just to make sure that you're going to try to find a wife or do something other that size, go for it, man. Have fun while you're young. Do that, but make sure that you're doing the best thing for you. So I'm totally on board with that, man. Let them go do their thing.
No doubt, man. And the crazy thing is about it, Brother Pastor, a.k.a. Mr. Life, I agree with you. That shouldn't be the main mission, but white men been doing that for years. Stella was getting a group back in the 90s, and, she was, and white women be with them bad built bodies, shaped like boxes, been going to Jamaica, going to Bahamas,
and Cuba,
going to Cuba and Kenya. But for all of a sudden, what black men do, it's a problem. And it's almost like they see black men only as servants to the queen. And I'm telling black men, you don't have to do that anymore. Black men got inherent value and worth too. And, Gregory Scotland said that Edward Anderson can get a straight answer from Courtney and Obie. And once again, no disrespect to Courtney. Courtney's I met her in person, cool sister. But so many want black men to save the black community. And I'm saying we ain't saving ish. If we ain't getting nothing in return, then we're not saving nothing. I'm not giving free servitude. I'm too expensive, you know, and I got that Leo swag too, man. You know, I got that brim on my head. You know,
you got that brim working.
I got that brim, man. These brims cost money, man. I was up in Harlem. I got this when I was in Brooklyn. So, you know, if I'm gonna save the community, man, I'm too good looking to save the community. The community's not gonna give me nothing in return, man. And I'll tell men to love themselves and do what's best for them. You know, Pastor Mr. Life, you appear to be a Gen X, I think. You look like you Gen X. Are you Gen X?
Yeah.
What is dissipated, man, in our lifetime? Because when we were teenagers growing up, the women were different. They were better. They weren't perfect, but it's turned to a cesspool here lately, man. What's your take on what you've seen in this current milieu?
Well, man, I'm gonna say, man, I'm from Florida, and we came up off of Poison Clan. I always mention that. And so I always saw this. This ain't nothing new to me. What's going on? It's just how they move. So what do a man to do is to figure out how you need to move as well. I'm a married man, but you'll never see my wife on Instagram, internet, or nowhere. Right? I made it at age 39 before I even actually got married. No kids, but It was just so because I grew up in that vein. I grew up watching women use and abuse men, take money, do this and do those type of things. And so I got where they was coming from. So I played the game how the game needed to be played until I was 39 years old. So what has changed? I think the men have got a little bit more naive in what women are doing.
Talk about that, brother.
I think it boils down to the internet and men actually not understanding and not getting involved with women how they used to, how they going out, having fun, talking to them, and actually getting to the psyche of a woman. Men have started doing other things men have started doing other things. I'm not talking about the brothers that travel, but you talking about the guys that play video games all day long or working or whatever you want to call it. Men have disconnected away from women. So they think that the problem is getting worse. I say that the problem has always been there. I saw women do the most frivolous things to men, but back in the day I would say older men taught younger men what was going on. I could say that's probably the only thing that I see that's missing right now is older men telling young men the game and how to move and to make sure that they move correctly and don't get caught up inside certain things. But I don't see anything changing.
Yeah, I don't see it changing either, man. Counselor Mr. G, if you can do me a favor, if you can mute yourself and talk, but do me a favor, I'm going to remove you, then I'm going to bring you back. I just need to see your face in the background for 1 minute, then I'm going to bring you back up. Counselor Mr. G, real quick. I just need to see your face. You don't have to go live. I know you're a professional. I just need to see your face in the background, then I'm going to bring you up. Did you hear me, Counselor Mr. G? Hello? Can you hear me, Counselor Mr. G? Just show me your face in the background, then I'm going to bring you up, brother, okay? You don't have to, you can be an avatar once I bring you up. I just need to make sure you're a real person. So if you can just show me your face in the background. Yeah, you can show me your face in the background, Counselor Mr. G. I appreciate it, man, okay? So let me know when you're ready, brother. I want to hear your perspective. But yeah, so Ingram, you know, me and you and Pastor Mr. Life, we from the old school, man. You know, we from the old school. You know, we remember a time when women had higher levels of virtue, but what happened? What do you think happened, Ingram?
Well, you know, we talked about it. I think the pastor mentioned it. You know, obviously, you know, I was going to do a video about your father has failed you, which really highlights the problem. We've had so many years, 70-80% of the kids over the last 30 years or so being born to these single mom families. And when you take away that patriarchal leadership, it's really like I school my boys about the game of life, about women and how to move. That's supposed to come from the generation before you in preparing young men for life. But if we have a community that's being completely ran by women, and many of the men even in that community are those types of men that have basically had their balls clipped and really come from more of a, you know, you know what I mean? They're like a subservient type man, beta type operation in a household. They're not really leading anything or teaching anything. So you're going to have a generation of these young men that are just not really even equipped to deal with some of these women out here.
Yeah, I totally agree. Counselor Mr. G, I want to bring you on, brother. I just need to see your face in the back. Counselor Mr. G, if you can show me your face in the background, I'll bring you up so you can conversate. I want to hear your perspective. But also in the meantime, guys, I want to hear some of the women. I want to hear what the women are saying as well. Should it be SYSBM or should it be save your community, black men? I tend to believe in men doing what's best for them, saving themselves, because until the community give to men of color, there's no saving. Relationships are about reciprocity, and there does not appear to be any reciprocity for black men in America. Shout out to my man Raphael Wims. He said, "Dance all night, Poison Clan, I'm down, South Bang in the box, Chevy with the caddy girl." Shout out to that brother.
Right. That's a
Yeah, he'll Florida boy.
That's a bad right. That's a bill, right?
Hey, it's a Florida boy right there.
Right. Some would say, Pastor and also Yusef and Ingram, that it's a conspiracy to eradicate and destroy the fabric of America, but starting with the convenient come up, the black man and the black family. What's your take on that, starting with Ingram and then Yusef and then Pastor? Has there been a coup d'etat mentally for black men, black families, and black communities, in your opinion? Starting with Ingram and then Yusef and then Pastor. Go ahead.
I think it has, but I think we have agency and we have a lot of control over things, especially now in 2022. Things are more so on us. Mm-hmm. And we already know the history and the past of what has happened to us. But I think ultimately what has happened is people have made decisions of their own self-interest, because I always told, I did a video today, we talked about there's no profit in you not being a victim. Being a victimhood is very profitable, especially for those people we saw with BLM and people that try to exploit victimhood, and there's always a profit narrative. And that's really what it comes down to. When somebody is talking about save the community or doing this or doing that, in terms of there's always some organization or some GoFundMe account or some narrative about, and we saw what happened with BLM, people end up buying houses, paying their boyfriends almost $1 million and pocketing the dough. And we see that a lot. So I'm always very distrustful about anybody who talks about building a community or building people with that talk about that don't have some type of, they're usually eloquent speakers, and there's always a profit motive for themselves, and right. They always make sure that they're living good.
Yeah, Ingram, you talked about something called relationship capitalism, and I also talked about relationship inflation. I'm gonna let you talk about that in a minute, but brother Yusef, I want you to piggyback on the question, and then also on Pastor MG.
Could you repeat the question?
Man, I damn near forgot it, man. What did I say, Ingram? I
get it.
Yeah, I forgot, man. I'm trying to do like 12 things at one time, man. But do you remember what I said, Yusef?
I'm thinking about what the gentleman in gray just said. So I'm seeing him pick it back off what he said. Okay, so I can rock on the last portion of what he said, which was,
do you think that the black community was set up off of failure was a
right? There you go. Right. So basically, do you think it was by design to cause animus between black men and black women, meaning almost like a Marxist conspiracy? I would say yes. It was all by design. We definitely been the number one target for years. But what's your take on that?
Well, I wasn't raised in the 60s or 70s, but from the research I did and from what I've heard from my uncles that I grew up with, who told me about they've seen what it was, what the black family structure and community was like prior to, I think, Lyndon B. Johnson. And then after, it was like a 10-year or decade span from the time he got in office to the time he left. Then they just saw the gradual decline. So this is what I've heard from those in real life, as well as from a lot of research and study I've done on my own time. And so I can only assume that it was some sort of conspiratorial aspect to the destruction of the community. Starting with taking fathers out or incentivizing the taking the fathers out the home and paying women essentially to get rid of the fathers in the home and making it worth their while to not have them there in the form of food stamps and all kinds of different government subsidies that the man used to be able to was expected to provide for his family. And then it became no longer a expectation of the man. So then it left the man pretty much wanderless. So it incentivized the woman to get out the house and demoralized the man and forced him out the house as well. So I think it started maybe 40, 50 years ago. And it's just been on a steady decline ever since. And any attempts since then, which the gentleman up in the gray Ingram has said in the last part of his of what he spoke about. He said that there were attempts to build the Black community, and we saw that in the modern form of the Black Lives Matter movement, and how in the last 10 years, I still remember it started with the Trayvon Martin case, and it seemed like it started with good intentions. You got Black people supporting it, millions of dollars getting poured into their pockets, into the coffers, with the intent to get Black people who were illegal, who were convicted unlawfully to get out of jail and put the right media attention behind them, which takes money to put the right legal team behind them, which takes money to get them out of jail and make the system somewhat balanced and fair. But it turns out that these people were siphoning money for their own selfish reasons. And we find out a decade later, but it's not unthinkable to assume that they've been doing this probably since the inception of Black Lives Matter. So any attempt to actually make something or build a quote unquote Black community and the largest platform being BLM was obviously a complete failure. And you have a lot of people who are having a hard time adjusting to the fact that they may have donated hundreds of dollars of their own money to a cause that wasn't even a real cause for the people who were taking the money for their own Rolls Royces and mansions and all this other stuff they had going on. So it was just a farce. They're using the Black skin, the Black power, the Black all this, Black to serve their own selfish purposes, to take care of their family, to take care of their own selfish needs. And they're just feeding into the whole Black community narrative. So I think that that's what's taking place now amongst men who are still hoping. They're grasping on the straws. They're buying time. They're still looking for that hope. They're still, even though we have all these failures and all these attempts that didn't work, we're still going to fight for it. And we expect you as well to go and fight for it. So, if you're saving yourself, Black men, you're just being selfish. If you're going out the country, you're just being selfish. But in the last just decade, there have been many attempts to bring the Black community together, but it just doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work. And the sad thing is, those same ones, they were selfish. This last election, they said chucks and pearls. They didn't say Black family, Black community, Black boys, girls, and husbands. They said chucks and pearls. Chucks and pearls was the brokering, was the flexing of power to a woman or a VP that haven't more or less created any policies that are beneficial for Black men, Black boys, and also for families. And so they voted for themselves. I call it dimorphic thinking. When it comes down to power, many vote for themselves, not all sisters. But when it comes down to community and servitude, then they want Black men to save it. And I'm not doing that. I'm not saving nothing. Not for somebody. If you're not serving me, you're not gonna get my servitude. I don't serve women that don't honor and respect me as a man. And one of the things I said, how can there be service where there's no honor and respect and dignity of Black men in general? That can't happen, and it won't happen, because that's never happened in human history. Women had to give something in return if they wanted the honor and protection of men. Western women just want it. Yeah, they just want it for free. They just think just because your mama Black, you just supposed to give it for free. And I'm not doing that because your dad is Black too. What's your take on it, Pastor G?
Well, I think we all agree that, this was a setup. So let's deal with the overall encompassing how that came out to Black men. The thing that happened was when they did it, they gave power to the Black woman, women in general, right? So let's just lay that out there. So whenever you look at when you give someone power, they are not going to be inclined to give it back. So that's what we're dealing with right now when we're talking about save yourself, Black men. black men understand one thing: when they're going overseas and trying to find these other women, once again, I go back to the whole economy of it. It's that supply and it shrinks the dating pool of the available black men that are left here, and makes it a lot better for them. You know, they are not going to willingly give that power back that the government has given them. That's what's happened. If the government came in, we can go back as far as the New Deal, then we can go back. The New Deal, then the war on drugs, and then the war against those super predators and throwing us in prison, and on and on and on and on and on. But what they don't recognize is they shrank the pool of black men, of available black men for marriage and everything else. So the men that are left, the leftovers, have prime advantage right now, and they need to understand that. And they use, and shout out to rest in peace Kevin Samuels, the women that use shame language, because that's the only thing that they can use right now to try to get you back in here. They use things just like, he ain't a man if he go overseas. He ain't a man if he don't take. I get tired of the women saying he ain't a man. Men need to start doing the same thing. You ain't a woman if you don't get down on your knees. You ain't a woman if you ain't paying if you ain't paying all these bills. Because once again, I am the commodity right now. You are not. I can go find a woman anywhere to do the same thing that you are doing. I am the commodity. I do well for myself, especially if you're in the top 10%, the top 5%. You are a commodity black man. You need to understand that. So once again, the question is, yeah, America did what they needed to do. The thing is, what do you do now? Recognize where you are. You got full advantage right now. You can go overseas or you can stay here. But once again, I always speak about vision, purpose, and plan. I don't care where you at. If you cannot communicate a vision, purpose, and plan to a woman, ain't no woman going to follow you.
Yeah. Well, it's that's true too. But even with that, if they're not wife ready and been trained to be wives, you can talk to a woman about a mission all day. There's a liberal indoctrination, Pastor, that's destroyed a lot of women, black and white.
I'm with you on
about. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
No, sir, this is your show. I apologize.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Peaceful Life. We talked about relationship capitalism. The market is very inflated. Uncooperation. This chick, the time she had 2,000 bodies. I'm gonna do a show on that. You and I talk about the imprint, because they've been vicious and vigorously pounded. And Pastor, Mr. Life Worth Living. When you and I in England were in high school, we Gen X. They used to call them skeezers and chicken heads, man. And
you know it.
My brother from Florida, he know that word, chicken heads. That's what we used to call them back in the 90s, man.
We used to call them foot draggers. I don't know what y'all used to call them. We used to call them foot draggers and dirty foots.
The game changed, man. You got flexing on social media now. I know the chickens, man. I see them.
And skeezers and chicken heads can't enter the kingdom of man. They want to enter the kingdom of man because Jesus said sin can't enter the kingdom of heaven. But skeezers and chicken heads want to come into the kingdom of man. And women like that, we didn't even look at them. But you got a lot of women that got skeezers and chicken head mentality now, and they want men to pay full premium for women that have given their virtue away. But Ingram, tell the audience about relationship capitalism and also why that's so important in a market that's overly saturated with entitlement.
Well, the biggest problem with this is it's just about putting a capitalistic mindset to how you look at relationships. And I always encourage men to look at relationship as a business. And that's why I came up with the term relationship capitalism, because it gets rid of this non-competitive mindset that we have towards relationship. And when you apply capitalistic principle, that's what I say, if you got a problem with the passport brothers, you got a problem with capitalism. And you have a non-competitive mindset. Because let's face it, man, black men have accepted some of the lowest standards in the planet from our women, men. Women with no ankles, no neck, bad attitude, and you have dudes that be talking about, it's bad out here, man, in terms of the standards for men. There's no weight standards. I ain't even going to dig into it deeply, but the whole idea is that it's like anything else. If you go to any business and they don't offer you quality service, the only thing that's going to change that is them going out of business or you going somewhere else, taking your resources and your value as a man somewhere else, period. And that's just it. And what happens now is where you see a lot of the the vitriol and the hatred that comes, and it's either from dudes that are trapped in bad situations, that are hating on men, living freely, or these women that hate competition. You can't, if you say the word to even some of these sisters about being competitive and bringing value to the table. I can shame men all day long. I call them dusties, bums, derelicts, degenerates. Hey, they'll be cheering me on. There'll be pom-poms will be in my channel. But the moment you say to these women that they need to maintain a reasonable weight, we don't need you with 100 bodies. You need to chill out a little bit, get off the social media, knock it off a little bit. Man, they come after you, misogynist, you hate women. Your mama's black. Who hurt you? You can't say nothing to these women. That's how bad the non-competitive nature is. And they expect they have a problem with average. Like a black man is average, and he's making an average salary.
It's not enough.
They don't even the disrespect for an average hardworking brother from chicken heads. You can be an average man driving by the bus stop with some broad sitting on the bus stop, and she'll look at you, well, you don't make enough money for me, or you're not that. But she's still on the bus stop. That's how bad non-competitive it is with black women and black men. They really expect you to accept mediocrity, and that's why they look at men to wife up a bunch of these single moms with multiple kids and do all the dirty work. That's really what it comes down for black men. So when they see brothers going overseas, I think what they care about mostly is the loss of that insurance policy and the resources. These men are going to be around after they get done sleeping with all these low life or get out of here with WAP culture. They're looking for somebody to clean up that mess when they get in their 30s and their 40s and they start getting that turkey neck and that crow's feet and those varicose veins start popping and that cellulite start blistering.
Man, you're going hard right now.
They're looking for somebody to clean that up. And when you dudes want to run overseas? What? Hell no. Who's gonna clean up this mess?
That's so good.
Tell me, man, you need to stop.
Hey, somebody's got to clean this mess up.
Picture.
Council MG, what's up, brother? How you doing, sir? What's going on, Council MG? How you doing, sir?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfect, brother. How would you like to add to the conversation, man, about this mental oppression as it relates to trying to reduce the efficacy of men getting the best outcomes as it relates to love, joy, peace, and happiness? How would you like to add to it, brother?
Yeah, first, let me just preface by saying, man, I was being taken through it. I had to reset my system. Somebody didn't want me.
Oh, yeah, you good, brother. Yeah, you good, brother.
But another thing, congratulations on your 5,000. I like to think that I got you over that because I just subscribed with my other channel, the one that I gave you the donation on, because they stopped me from giving donations. I came in the game giving Black Ram a nice sum, and so they decided to shut that down. So I had to create another channel. But anyway, with regard to the, you say what?
Right.
Yeah.
No, I was saying really, but go ahead. I'm sorry. Right.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy out here. But anyway, just dealing with this whole thing. I've been basically SYSBM before it was a hashtag. I worked in the financial industry for about 20 years. And I decided that I just wanted to travel, see the world. It wasn't for women. I had no problems getting women, in the States. It was just a matter of, living your best life. I used to run into a lot of professional brothers, doctors, engineers, what have you. And we just created this little brotherhood and we kept in touch. One of my, favorite dentists, he was a brother, and we became good friends. And he started, doing my dental work for me. And we just, had this kind of network that we were doing. And it wasn't because any of us, at least a lot of the brothers I used to interact with, it was never a question as to whether or not you could get a woman where you were. It was just for our money and for what we were bringing to the game. It was about getting what was best for us. And, a lot of us, we're not tolerating no attitude. We're not tolerating, subpar reactions to what we're bringing to the table. We're not just going to settle for that. So a lot of the guys in my travels that I came in contact with, the consistent theme was we deserve to have the best.
Yes.
And when you have that mentality, whether or not you're gonna travel to get it or wherever you're gonna get it, that's what you're gonna do. You know, if you got beautiful women of whatever culture and they're responding to you in your masculine energy the way it needs to be responded to, then you're gonna deal with that.
Yes, sir.
Point blank. It doesn't matter that somebody has an issue with how you go about getting what you want out of life. And they can come with this shaming language and say all of this and that. But at the end of the day, I'm the one that's going to live this life, and I'm going to create an avenue for me to deal with what I want to deal with regardless. And now you can either be a part of that if you want to get yourself in line. But unfortunately, a lot of these women don't want to do that. And, you know, I was married early. I had a kind of tumultuous beginning, you know, with I was a young guy, I was making good money. I was, you know, beautiful girls, you know, I was willing to take care of her. You know, she, you know, it was my house, everything. But when things went bad, you know, I realized that I had to focus on me. And that's kind of what set the stage for me to go ahead and decide that I was going to see the world and do other things. So, and I haven't looked back. So I'm not against marriage if that's what guys want to do, but at this stage of my life, I just feel like, you know, it's not what I want to do again.
Yeah, I don't blame you, man. The current laws in America, they were talking about, Gil Nelson was talking about how they got laws passed now when a woman gets stationed, she can pin her tail on the donkey. I mean, they do a show called Pin the Tail on the Donkey. Because they're turning a lot of American men into jackasses, man. I need to do a show called Pin the Tail on the Donkey, man. But shout out to Gil Nelson for the $5 super sticker. She said that a lot of black women step in with black men to show loyalty to Uncle Sam, not realizing is if China invades tomorrow, the U.S. government isn't saving black women first. Right. And Ingram is in law enforcement. I was too. It's gotten so bad that cops are saying now that they don't come in for certain calls. So basically, if a person is trespassing or in your house sitting up like a fat cat, you can't do nothing about it, man. That's how bad the laws have gotten, man. It's gotten horrible. And but a lot of our women don't see it and don't see the benefits of it because they don't more or less understand the importance of protection and community. But many they see black men as a tree that they can pick an apple off, you know, anytime they want to. Basically, men are dispensable. But in the meantime, shout out to my man, Etoya George. That's my man, Pastor.
That's me, man.
Yeah, that's you. Yeah. Let me, I appreciate it, man. And Pastor just sent me a love offer, man. And so shout out to my man, Pastor, for that $15, that $20 hitter. Give me 1 minute. And I really appreciate it. Hold tight. Shout out to Pastor. You know the world's coming to an end when Pastor is giving love offers. But in the meantime, guys, shout out to Pastor. Hold tight for the $20 super chat. Thank you, sir.
It's the money.
Let me ask you guys a question, starting back with Ingram. Are black men defeated mentally because they accept mediocrity in relationships? Are they mentally defeated, in your opinion, because so many accept mediocrity, in your opinion?
That's a great question.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think for some, they are. And what I mean by that is that what happens is now with the culture is the culture itself in the black community really despises masculinity. In fact, we have a matriarchy, and they're more comfortable with our boys being girls. That's why you see, people like Lil Nas X running around with pregnant bellies, and the community is pretty much accepting it. Those types of behaviors. So we're really aligned closely with that in terms of feminizing men seems to be the thing. So what happens inevitably is when men don't really want to say anything because we have such a toxic matriarchy that anything you say, you're going to see. The easiest thing to silence somebody is to demonize them. So anything that goes against the code in the black community, if you say something off code, which I don't even care, I say what I got to say anyhow, you're automatically labeled as you hate this or you hate that or hatred or you're a hater or you're this or you're that. So men, I've realized that you can't really confront these people or you can't really say what you want to say. And like T.D. Jakes is a good example. he spoke off code, and like half the women left his church. So that's how toxic it has gotten in this environment that we currently live in. So what happens is a lot of men, they're going to manage their own household, the one that are still masculine, but they're going to keep themselves away from saying anything that goes against the code or the programming in a particular community, because they don't want the backlash and the negativity. And to be honest with you, it can get downright dangerous, especially with some of these simps out here. I always say simps are dangerous.
Yeah, the simps are dangerous, man. I want Yusef to respond to the answer question, and also Pastor Mr. Life, and also Counselor Mr. G. But in the meantime, guys, you're right. Simps are not only dangerous, but simps, guys, believe that they must cause chaos.
Why are you destroying our planet?
I have no choice.
Yes, them simps causing chaos in the man universe, man. But what's your take on that, brother Yusef? And then Pastor Mr. Life, and then Counselor G. What's your take on that?
So the question was because men who accept mediocre women, does that cause them to then champion for them in a way?
Yeah, more or less. I ain't gonna reverberate the question to him. I think I was asking men that more or less settle for mediocrity, are they defeated mentally?
Yeah, it was a defeated question.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
Talk about it.
I think that's why I said it's a good question, because that's just what I've observed. I think that you don't know. A lot of men don't know what. So I'm gonna just give my personal example. When I first experienced a foreign woman in this country by accident, very, very briefly, I had to go do a surgery in Florida, and I needed a haircut before I went in for surgery because I got to look fly, of course, before I get surgery. Right. I called up someone last minute. It was the day before. I said, okay, I got to get somebody. Boom, 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 and person said, okay, you can come on in today, grab your haircut, you be all set. Okay, last chair, last one in the door, we'll take care of you. I say, great, okay, cool. So who is he? Oh, this is so-and-so and so-and-so. So I go into the barbershop, and it turns out, I'm looking around for this person. I say, well, okay, who's cutting my hair? I can't find, oh yeah, she's right there. I said, huh? Who? Oh, her. Her name is so-and-so. She had this very Spanish sounding name. I get to a chair, she can barely speak any English, but not a single word of English needed to be exchanged between her and I for us to have that instant connection. She immediately, it wasn't even a haircut. It was like she started giving me massages, back rubs, flirting. I mean, talking dirty, talking something in my ear. I didn't know what she was saying. It was like, is this a haircut, or is this like, what's going on here? And this was a woman who was in her 40s. I'm in my mid 30s. So I was immediately turned on just by the way she was treating me for a haircut. Haircut. And I did not experience anything like that. Now, I've been treated well by American women for quite some time. I had quite a few slip ups, but for the most part, I've had pretty good luck. But I was blown away by what I experienced. So it wasn't until I experienced it that I came back to my brother. My brother was like, oh yeah, I've been trying to tell you about these women, these foreign women, these Colombians, these Venezuelans, Brazilians. I've been trying to tell you, bro, like you've been behind the eight ball the whole time. I was like, oh, I didn't even know, because I had never experienced it firsthand. I didn't grow up around it. So I think the reason why I say I think it's a good question, the reason why, yes, it causes men to accept mediocre or mediocrity is because that's all they know. So in a way, I don't even blame them, because only just 2 years ago, I just found out about it. It's what made me, that experience. That's why I'm here. I'm on chats like this. I said, why are they so different from American women? I start asking the question. I type it in Google, and I see, save yourself, black man. I see passport bros. Right. And it made me want to get my passport. I got my passport. It made me want to figure out how to make a lot more money. I just started getting some traction on my career in trading Forex because I need to make enough money so I can get outside the country. So that one experience with a barber that I would have never even taken it had I known it was a woman. because I've never even had a female barber cut my hair before. I was scared. But she did it the best I've ever had it before. So good that before I even go to Brazil, I'm going to go to Florida first, find her, because I still remember in my memory where she's at, and then get another haircut, and then go to Brazil and Colombia, and then go to Venezuela where she said I should go. So it was a chain reaction that started with a very highly feminine woman that I had never experienced it to that degree. Like I said, I've had good luck with it, but I noticed that a lot of men, they don't have such luck. So like Ingram said earlier, they're used to seeing women with cankles. They're used to seeing women with varicose veins. They're used to seeing women who are overweight. That's the expectation from high school, middle school. So when that's all you see, and that's all you're forced to date, it's like, and they say, oh, well, I'm just smashing them. I'm just hitting them. Okay, but what that does is it creates something in your subconscious mind that this is acceptable to you. I could never accept it, even though I've been offered it by very unattractive women. Oh, she's just a hit and a quit it type of thing. But what it does is it molds your mind and your subconscious to then accept it. And over time, you start thinking that what's a 5 becomes a 10 in your eyes. And you don't even realize You start thinking that behavior is normal. You start thinking that masculinity is femininity.
Yes, sir.
Everything becomes topsy-turvy. Everything becomes ass backwards. And you don't even know it. So then you have those men who are telling other men who may have had the same process that they had, but they escaped it, as they call it, the matrix, or men like myself who was fortunate enough to not ever fall for that trap of just sleeping with a bunch of unsavory looking women, creating that because I think it causes that man to lower his standards when he does that. When he lowers the quality of women that he's dealing with emotionally, sexually, mentally, spiritually, then he's going to start seeing those women as more attractive, because that's the level he has become. He may have started up here at a 10, but because he's dealing with a woman at a 5, it lowers his value in his own mind to the point where he can't even see value outside of the type of woman that he's normally dealing with.
Well, they say South America and them Latin women and those feminine women for all countries, it's the place where your money not only go further, but so does your sperm cells. So, it ain't nothing like a feminine woman, man. A feminine woman will inspire, man. I told guys, to y'all single men that don't have wives yet, if you get you a South American woman, man, whether she's from South America, Africa, or wherever, not only, if you got erectile dysfunction in America, it'll be cured when you go over there. Your erectile dysfunction will go away in a foreign country, man. Because a lot of it, guys, is not anything that's with the man per se. It's low vibrational energy due to stress. But also what it is the food and the diet. But when you got a feminine woman that you can pour into, man, it changes the trajectory of all things, man. So once again, South America and foreign women in general is the place where your money go further, and also your sperm cells, man. I might do a hashtag on that. But Pastor Mr. Life Worth Living, what's your take on have men been conditioned to accept mediocrity because they have a defeated mindset? Go ahead, brother.
Hey man, you can just call me Life. I'm cool with that.
Life,
but I need to ask.
I call you Life.
Yeah, I need to ask Brother Joseph a question. What part of Florida was that? Was that Orlando or was it Miami?
Actually, it was on the opposite end of Miami. So it was Fort Myers.
Wow.
Yeah.
That says a lot. Because when you said that, I was just like, yeah, she working for that tip.
No, I forgot to add. She would not accept my money. I tried. The haircut was only supposed to be like $20. And I tried. Look, I begged her. I said, take it, because it was such an amazing experience from the shampooing and all this other extras. I was like, what? I said, here, listen, let me go ahead and give you 50. She said, no. I just give me hug, black man. I was like, what? Oh, you just want a hug? Yeah, that's all I want for payment is your hug. I said, okay. And so we raced for like a whole minute, and it was just like the most sensual. It was, I can't even, the feeling of, it felt like it was just a loving acceptance that I had. It was just unbelievable. And I was like, I'm looking at her as I'm walking out there. I was like, you sure you don't want? She's like, no. Just come back next time and promise you'll visit my country in Venezuela. I was like, your wish is my command. I was like, city buddies.
Do not get your hair cut by any Spanish guy, cause that's gonna be 2 hours and your hair still won't be cut. They're gonna be out talking, eating, doing whatever. I just stopped doing that. but man, your question. Black men.
Right, yes, sir. Go ahead.
I think black men and women are suffering right now from the same thing.
Right.
I think black women have bad pickers, and black men love to pick dirty foots and foot draggers.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a bad thing that's going on right now. So yeah, I'm with you on that. I think they are suffering. I think because we don't know any better. We think that because she's 120, well, she's 220 pounds, and that's all we see is anything from 180 to 220, cursing, hollering at us, doing all this crazy stuff. So that's the barometer. I got friends, I got brothers, I got plenty of people that's in that same situation, and I'm looking at them just like, why are you in this situation? There is a better deal out there. You chose this life. You chose this life. You chose to have a kid with her. You chose all this yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you doing it? I think black men and black women have very bad pickers for the people that they're going with. Just like I said, man, I made it to 39 years old without being married. I think I did a pretty great job at that. I think a lot of people don't ask enough qualifying questions, don't dig deep into the background. A lot of men don't look for buy-in. A lot of black men just look for coochie. They look for the low-hanging fruit. Will she give me some? That's all we need to know. And if it's good, we keep coming back.
Right. Keep coming
and that's what creates
that's
what creates the loop, the subconscious loop that they, like I said, they're just looking for sex. So if they're willing to accept anything, then that means that they're worth nothing. And so as a result, that's the way they start seeing themselves. Oh, it's just sex. It's just sex. So their standards, like I said, may have been a 10 and a 9. They might have thought of Beyonce or look was achievable at some point. But when you start having sex with a lower quality women, you become lower quality yourself in your mindset, your thinking, and your expectations of women. And you don't even know it. Now, I never fell into it, but I've seen it happen to my own friends. I've known we had the same taste starting out, and they just start saying, well, you know what? I'm just going to deal with this gang. I'm going to deal with this prostitute. I'm going to deal with it. And they start it's like they devolve. It's like a devolution of some sort. I've seen it with my own eyes, and it's scary. So I was like, okay, I keep my high standards. I can't even feel attraction towards women unless she's looking like, I think her name is Janae Smollett, or Beyonce looks in her character, her spirit, her morals. There are things and standards that I kept intentionally because I don't go around and sling dick all over the place. Although I could, and I've had many, many offers to do so, and I've been tempted. But because I have some level of dick discipline, I've kept that standard for myself, which makes me, in my mind, keep that same standard for the woman that I deal with. Even in
I did. I put it everywhere, but it was two things that I always looked out for. I didn't deal with broke broads. That was one thing that I always stated from. I don't deal with broke broads, and I always make sure that the woman had some form of buy-in, that she had some investment inside me. And I think the problem is men who think that the woman that's give you coochie, that's the investment. Men don't understand. Most women lead with sex because they don't know anything else.
That's true.
So what do you know to ask for? If, hey, she giving me sex, so, hey, that means that she into me. No, that don't mean nothing. A woman would give, most women would give you sex before they could give you money.
That's true.
So sex shouldn't be your barometer. Sex is, is she willing to sacrifice for you for some other things? And a lot of men don't see that. So just because she'll lay down with you and give you some gawk 2,000 or gawk 500 once in a while, and that's really not that good, you think that she all down for me. No, that's not it. What else is she willing to do? Is she willing to encourage you? Is she willing to get behind you? Is she willing to push you and not be aggravating at the same time? Is she willing to get behind you in your plan? A lot of men don't get that. Is she willing to invest inside your plan financially and also go out and do the legwork?
Right. Yeah,
you
want a woman that can go through the fire with you. That's what Shaka Khan said back in the day. Do the fire, do the limit to the wall. Yeah, you want a woman like that, but also, guys, you know, Teddy Pendergrass said it better than me. Teddy said that he want a woman that can inspire him.
You inspire me Inspire me. My greatest inspiration.
Guys, I can't be wasting that Velvet voice on chicken heads, man. She got to be an inspirational woman, man. I can't be wasting that Velvet voice on chicken heads and skeezers, man. Counselor, Mr. G, what's your take on the question, man? What's your take, brother? And then Passport OG.
Yeah, I think we need to really get the language right, because just like what the brother was saying, with this whole notion of she's giving you some, or she's, like she's handing out treats or something. Look, we got to understand that this whole thing is flipped around the wrong way. We need to get some straightening. Originally, in the ancient world, for example, men were considered the givers. We're the givers of life. Okay, we give to them. They don't give us anything. We put the sperm in them.
Right, that's true. Right.
Mm-hmm. So when we start talking about, she's giving me some, see, that's part of the problem, and that's the reason why a lot of men have this low expectation, is because look, she's giving me some, so I'm gonna have to put up with the fact that she got ashy ankles. I'm gonna have to put up with the fact that her back of her neck looks like a pack of hot dogs. So they willing to trade off all of this foolery because they think she's doing them a favor. So they feel like they're coming into the game where they're like equal because she's giving you something. So therefore, you have to reciprocate by accepting these flaws. But we have to really get into the habit of men as understanding our value. And I like what Culture Clinician said earlier about the feminine woman. Because that feminine woman, her energy is automatically to kind of flow into that idea of you being that leader, and that her whole energy is not that she's giving you something. I've been with women that are so feminine, it's like they're crying because you're giving them attention, you're giving them this stuff, and you understand that you are the one that's controlling the ship. She's the passenger.
Right.
So this whole thing about how women have been framed through society, and we understand where a lot of this is coming from, because if you look at it from an economic standpoint, specifically in the Black community, 70% of all the spending is done by Black women. Mm-hmm. So that means that whatever you see going on specifically in the Black community, Black women are allowing it and promoting it, and they are funding it. And all of these outside forces are catering to that because they know they're the ones that's going to spend the money. So you're going to see this gynocentric mentality where she's going to be put out as the boss broad, and then the man is just this kind of hanger on, as opposed to the true balance that the creator intended, which was for us to be the leaders. Mm-hmm. And our language has to express that. So I don't frame things in terms of what a woman is giving me or anything like that. I'm the one that is bringing the value to her life more so than her, but she is adding, she's my helpmeet. She is enhancing. I don't need her as much as she needs me. That's the bottom line that we need to have with any woman we're dealing with.
Yeah, you're right.
To their life than they could ever be to ours. And these simps have it twisted because they think that whatever woman they get is an enhancement, or she's bringing more value to his life than he's bringing to hers. So that's how they got that whole thing twisted in the first place, because he's not aware of his true value as a man. And if he sees you moving like that, he's going to try to tear you down immediately because you're bringing out the insecurity that he has.
Right. If I was a pastor, counselor G, I'll call it simp conviction. It's that simp conviction.
Right.
It's that simp conviction, man. Because he see masculinity in you that he don't see in himself, which in essence is projection. But you're 1,000% correct. Theology actually says that the woman was made for man, and if the woman is made for man, why are you serving her? She was made for you. She was made to allow you to pour into her, and then she turn around and reflect who you are as a man. But men in America got it twisted. That's why when men go to foreign countries to get women, man, they cry, they have a catharsis because they've been so devoid of affection. They get affection deprivation because many modern women have a condition like my man Peaceful Life called it. He called it relationship capital. I call it relationship inflation, which is he called it relationship inflation, which is based on relationship capitalism is what we need to have, but it's based on relationship inflation, which is entitlement. That many modern women have. Passport OG, what's your take on this, brother, real quick? And if there's a woman that's listening, I would love for you ladies to come up and have a conversation. We got some good men on the panel. All the men, it appears that all the men are SYSBM. But if there are any women that are men or women that believe in save yourself, black community, save your community, black men, you're more than welcome to come up. But go ahead, Passport OG. Go ahead, brother.
Well, thanks for having me on the panel, by the way. And I like you. I love you as a content creator. So I want to give you your props. I appreciate APL it. As well. APL is putting out some really good content. So I want to say that I think one of the reasons why we can't save the community as it is because it is too focused around sex. We measure a man by how many women he can get sex from. The idea of someone like Future or Nick Cannon in most societies now, that is unconscionable. A man running around having multiple children you could not still do that and still have people support you on television. But there's only one community around the world where we see this, and it's really ours. Mm-hmm. And we see this worship of guys that can do what Future can do. And really all he is just a guy who's irresponsible with his seed. And it's almost looked up on. And so how can you build any kind of culture around that kind of bedrock? If he's a man, I want to be a man like him so I can live the life he's living. That it's just not going to work. There's nowhere for that to go. And I live in Asia. You can see I'm in Japan. It's daytime, and I see here how honor and being respected in the community is worth 25, 30 times worth how much sex you can get, right? And so if that shift is not possible, there's just not really anywhere for the community to go, really, except to kind of fall in on itself and rebuild in different places with different definition of what black is, in my opinion. So,
what does the femininity look like in Japan and also the patriarchy compared to America?
Oh, come on. Come on now. I mean, look. So, like in America, we have the strip club culture, right? You go to a strip club and they basically strip naked and shake your face, right? Here, the culture is women dress up in really nice kimonos or whatever, and they serve drinks to businessmen. And they're just super young, beautiful, effeminate women who basically wait on men. They drink, they're drinking the alcohol, whatever, and they sing for them, all that kind of stuff. And like that's like what guys go out and do after work. And they just want to be around the femininity, then they go home to their wives and whatever. It's not like this, it's not a sexual culture. It's a femininity culture. I'm the masculine presence, and I'm here because I want a dose of femininity. Give me that, and then I'll go home and have my feminine woman at home, or what have you, right? And it's not sex in your face. It's I'm a woman, you're a man. I'm gonna show you the contrast, and once you get your fix of femininity, you go right back into the corporate world and do what you got to do, right? And yeah, it's night and day, dude. It's not even close.
Sounds dope. I can't wait to try that out.
I mean,
can I concur with my brother, Passport OG? Because I got some experience in Japan too, and he's absolutely right. I was actually the lady that I'm dealing with right now. She's half Japanese, and I spent some time in Japan. And I'm just going to tell you, I don't know if Passport OG has experienced this as well, but there's just like this immediate deference in terms of your being a man that you just simply don't see in the West. And I'm going to give you some examples. I remember one time I was walking down the street and it was raining, right? And I'm a man, I don't mind getting wet or what have you. So I'm just walking down the street, and this Japanese lady, she has her umbrella, and she walks over to me and says, "Oh, here," she gets under, she puts the umbrella over my head and walks me to my destination just on GP, just because I didn't have an umbrella. I've never in my life seen that in America where a woman of any race did something like that. The woman I'm dealing with now, I was looking for a particular shop, and I seen her, and we started talking, and she was so accommodating, and she stayed with me when we first met until I found the shop. Walking around, didn't know me from a can of paint, but just walked me to my destination. So this is just to give you an idea as to the difference in cultural values that women from around the world have in terms of just them dealing with you or interacting with you as a man. And if you juxtapose that to what you get in the States, I mean, there's nothing to compare. And those are just some small light examples. I can give some deep ones, but I just want to put that out there just to concur with brother Passport OG.
I want to ask you guys a question, and then we're gonna end the stream in a minute. This has been a great show, and I really appreciate it. I would love for one of the women to come up and give their sentiments if they believe in save your community, black men or women. I'm for fair game as long as you're respectful. I'm not going to disrespect anyone. But starting with Ingram, when you give a comparison, contrast between dealing with a feminine woman that gave you inspiration, what did it feel like dealing with an uncooperative woman as it relates to your mind and body versus dealing with a feminine woman that gave you inspiration? I want you to compare and contrast the two, starting with Ingram, then Yosef. I think Pastor Yosef already said it, but Mr. Life and then Mr. Counsel. But go ahead. What was your experience, man? What has it been like?
Well, it's actually inspirational, for one. If you want a feminine woman, there's nothing that really inspires a man more, and it's almost it rewards you for whether with the efforts that you put forth in this life in terms of being a man, the things you have to do in society, the things you have to achieve in your life. When you are inspired by a woman, that's like just giving you that energy to do more, and it makes you feel, and it really energizes your masculine self. But when you're dealing with a woman that is completely non-feminine, what you're doing is absorbing a lot of toxic energy, which is not really even motivating, especially for guys that if they happen to make the mistake and get into a relationship with that type of woman. It's just not productive at all, especially in a household, because nobody wants to sleep with a porcupine. I always say nobody wants to sleep with a porcupine. Nobody wants to work hard for somebody that does not add value to their life to benefit from their progress. It kills one's motivations to do the best, to achieve higher, to be the best version of yourself, because that energy that you're dealing with really sucks the life out of you. And that's what you find. That's why I really don't even interact with those types of women in the first place, because it sucks the energy out of your soul.
Right, no doubt. What's your take, brother from Pastor? What's your take?
Can you reset the room again with the question?
Yeah, so when you give a comparison, the contrast between dealing with feminine women that were inspirational versus combative, cantankerous women, what did it do to your mind and body? Some say the feminine women not only heal men mentally and physically, but also give them longevity. They've done a study here recently, guys, and the study said that men are actually dying because of marriage. So the question is, when you give a comparison and contrast between a feminine woman versus a cantankerous woman, what has it done for you mentally and physically?
I had one woman like that. I left her and my roommate at that apartment and moved out, never to deal with her again.
Talk about the experience.
Well, she was like, well, you talking about crazy. I call her Crazy Keisha. I still remember like yesterday. It was Crazy Keisha. But one thing about them crazy bras, man, they have some of the hottest section in your life. And once again, when you have that low energy thinking, you think that's all that's there. But it was like that thing. She would always come over. I would kick her out. She would come back, and then she would rub on me. Then we end up in the bedroom again. Then it was a constant cycle where I kick her out. Right. I come home. My roommate let her right back in. That constant cycle. Till one day she came and she started scratching on me. I grabbed her, threw across the room. I like, all right, this went too far. You all can have this apartment. I'm gonna go, and you all can keep it. I didn't deal with her again. You got to learn those life lessons, right? You got to learn this is not my type of life. I deal with women. I deal with functional, high quality women that understand the value of me. And so once again, when it comes to my wife, that was the thing. I knew I was going to marry my wife when she changed the bump on my Jeep Cherokee. That tells you where I'm at right now.
Wow. Wow.
A lot of these, man, see, it's about a functional woman to me. So a lot of guys want the femininity. I want a functional, and that's what I married, was a functional woman. I need a woman that can actually take the reins, go do whatever she needs to do, and make sure that whatever needs to happen is happening while I'm out doing what I need to do. So that was the healing that I needed at that point in time, because that granted me the access to move in the full capabilities of who I was. Because I don't need to deal with the little small things that go on inside the house. I don't need any of that hassle and that struggle. My wife take care of all of that. Even when I was live streaming tonight, she was taking down the garbage. So guess what?
Oh, wow.
Because once again, a lot of guys want these type of things, but I'm like, if you can't communicate your vision, purpose, and plan, once again, most women will not get behind you. Even the foreign women, you got to have the finances available. You got to have all these things available, and she's going to give you that. No matter where you at, if you overseas or here in America. Now, I must say, a lot of American women won't do that. But once again, I think that's what it boiled down to. What are you looking for? That was my healing. I needed a functional woman. A lot of guys just looking for, hey, I want something soft to make me a sandwich. Me, I need a woman that can come home, get on the laptop, design everything for my YouTube channel, then go out and post stuff and do all these other things, and then come back, help me with my business, help me create, because I'm in sales, help me create my little cookies and my knickknacks to take out to all my accounts, and then understand when I put on my tight pants and my tight shirt and go out and have lunch with another lady because that's my account. She already know what's going on. There is no, hey, babe, what you going? No, she gets it. She go buy me tight pants because she understands I'm going to go get the money.
Well, you know, she was made for you, and so when you give a comparison and contrast between Keisha and your wife, what has your wife done to your body? We call in the clinical world the psychosomatic response. What has she done for your mind and your body? Having that feminine woman, what has it done for your health?
I was probably talking a little bit fast when I said it, but I think I mentioned she gave me the access and the fortitude to be who I wanted to be. I say that if a man want to reach optimal success, I think he needs a wife. That is one thing that I noticed. My life kind of switched and went directly up. Literally, my life went directly up. I lost my job. A week before we got married. Mm-hmm. Right after we got married, I got a call from another place that doubled my income right then and there. I was double, just like that. And from then on, my income has increased threefold. So I went from barely breaking 28 to a little bit over 100 right now. So, and that was in a 5-year span. So, but once again, you can say it's the universe or however you want to see it. But once again, it provided clarity and direction for me because I had somebody else there to actually see those things that I couldn't see when I'm out there in my accounts, because I work around 99% women. So she's like, oh, you might need to do this. You might need to talk like this. You need to back off on this right here. And because I'm a very aggressive man by nature. You can't do that. So once again, it was the healing that I needed because once again, my life went vertical at that point in time. So yeah, that's it.
Well, that's powerful. That's very powerful. Ingram, I'm gonna let Joseph add to it also, but have you experienced that true raw femininity in America? Have you ever experienced it? Because a lot of men say it's intoxicating once you get it. And I'm gonna let Yusef add to it, and then Counselor G.
Have I experienced it in America?
Yes, sir.
I've experienced it in America. I just never experienced it in marriage. My situation was the exact opposite. When I filed for divorce, my income like tripled. So it did because what happened with me now I guess what happens is totally different because what he married was like a functional feminine inspirator. So what I got rid of was more of a porcupine type situation. So automatically my productivity level went up immediately. That's why I was able to retire at a young age. So what happens is what happens for a lot of people, it just comes down to the choices that you make in women. And at the end of the day, there's a level of accountability that we have as men too for picking the correct women. So knowing now, especially for guys my age, if you're a Generation Xer and you're having problems with women, there's something wrong with you. You need to make some changes in your life. But I have experienced it with other women in my younger years, and even now I see it every now and then, but it becomes a little bit more complicated in the community now, because now what we're doing is we're having so many men competing for 5% of the women, because you can get an abundance of women. Getting women to sleep with you, or getting women in general, you can get a bunch of them, but that quality of women that you would consider wife quality, that's the problem. So it's not an amount thing. So I have experienced it with women probably in my younger years, mostly in the 90s. But as of lately now, there's been a whole, especially in this secondary dating market, there's been a whole lot of masculinity that I've seen in this environment, or or I call them the soft girl era women, where they're pretending or faking to be something, because a lot of women they try to secure that retirement plan as they start getting older, and they try to do whatever they have to do to secure a good man and get in a good situation. So yes, I have experienced it, and I tell you, sometimes you go back and you look at some of the women in the past and like, man, I should have snatched that one up, and that was maybe 25 years ago. But now it gets a little more complicated as we go on now, because a lot of women, a lot of option, but very few quality women.
Yeah, I totally agree. Brother Yusef and then Counselor G. Now we're going to sign off, guys. It's been a great one. Got a good show coming up on Saturday entitled She Needs to Be a Soldier, and she's going to be your wife. Kelly Rowland and the other chick wrote a song back in the 90s or 80s. I think it was maybe 2000. I want a soldier. Where he at? Well, masculine men on their purpose of saying, I want a soldier too. Where she at? And we're gonna talk about it at some point. but Yusef, go ahead. You said you wanted to add to it, man. Go ahead, Yusef.
Damn, I can't lie. I mean, I'm listening to the answers from the man below me and to the left, so I forget about the question. After two people.
You forgot?
Because I was just so focused on what they were saying. So,
okay.
What was it? It was have I ever experienced a woman?
So basically, the conversation was, you talked about the woman from Venezuela, a feminine woman that inspired your mind and body, versus a woman that was non-feminine and she didn't inspire your mind and body. You talked about it a little bit, but you said you wanted to add to it. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I think every man can speak about the woman that they lost, that woman that they didn't realize could have been a marriage type, or they wasn't ready for marriage, or maybe their finances, or whatever the situation may be. Everyone has, at least most men I know have lost that one, and I was that one. She actually happened to be an American woman, and it was the first time I actually experienced an American woman like that. A Black woman too. Went to church and everything. Met her on a dating profile site. Was surprised she actually took it, because I knew she got a lot of male offers for dates, but she took a chance on me. We connected instantly on the phone. I met her in person, and instantly she was not impressed. The way
she wasn't impressed with you?
No. I mean, I dressed like I was still in high school. I was a 26-year-old man at the time. She was dressed so fly. She looked more beautiful in person, and she just the way she handled it was as feminine as you could possibly get it. Most women would have been very aggressive about it, very unkind about it, but she was just like very soft with it. She's like, okay, I could never, I can't see myself getting with you, but let me see if I can just kind of bring you to my church and get you around men who can kind of show you the ropes, because I can't tell you how to be a man, or how to carry yourself as such, or how to grow up and be more mature. But I know men who can help you do that. So and I didn't even know she was doing it. So she did it in such a way that I wasn't even aware, because listen, she said, come to my church. I'm going to her church. I didn't care. She could say I'm going off the cliff. at the time, I probably would have did it just because she was just that beautiful.
Right.
But she chose to use her beauty and her femininity to draw me to closer to God in a sense, and to other men who were strong, not only in their faith, but also in their masculinity. So that's what she chose to use her femininity for, because a lot of women, they do have that power. Like the gentleman below me, they have the power to either make you, or like the gentleman to the left of me, to destroy you. So it's almost like, it's weird how they can have that extreme, and the woman with that great power. Because when we see someone we're into, we're just like, whoa, we become like, we're just like there, and we can be manipulated easily by that. That's why strip clubs exist. That's why women can get away with the things they do, and be so good at it, better at it than men are, because we're so seduced by it. But a woman can use that power for good or for evil. And I happen to come across a woman who used that power for good, who, I mean, everything from the way I dress now to the way, thinking about, I want to take you on a date. I didn't have no money. I was broke. That motivated me to get into the career path I'm on right now. So it was that's just a little bit I want to add to it. It made the difference in switching my mindset, because I said, next time I didn't get her, but I said, next time I come across a woman like her, or even better than her, then I will be prepared for her. And yeah, it's weird looking back 4 years from now, because at the time you're like, it's so hard. But I had to go through the growing pains. I had to learn. I had to fall on my face several times. And then eventually I kept getting back up and pulling myself up. And you start developing a more stronger resolve. You become more battle hardened, but not so hardened to the point where you become immune to a woman's charm and how she can help you grow and elevate you to a whole different standard. When a man below me says he waited until he was 39, I'm 34, no kids as well, never been married, and that's intentional. So when I hear stories like that, it's like, okay, that's inspirational. But then I also hear stories to my left and say, well, yikes, I don't want to make that mistake. But it's like, I don't want to also avoid a potential blessing because of me wanting to avoid that potential downfall of a messy divorce. So it's like, it's a weird situation, but all I can do is just grow myself and develop myself enough to the point as a man to where I can attract the type of woman where I can get it right the first time. That's the goal. I don't want to have to go through 1, 2, or 3 before, but that may have to happen for me to get to that. I hope not, but hopefully if I'm where I need to be as a man, as far as my mindset, my career, my goals, and what I'm looking for beyond just the physical in a woman, then I will attract that type of woman who will not just tenfold my income, but can tenfold my spirit, tenfold my ability for compassion and empathy for other people. Because women do have that capacity to inspire and to motivate men. They do in that way.
They do, but if a man, it is powerful, man. But if a man is grounded, I don't care how fine she is and pretty she is, he ain't gonna come off as square. But I do agree with you, when a woman is doing it genuinely, it's a very powerful asset. Counselor G, real quick, we're gonna end the stream in a minute, and then also Passport OG, if you got any more questions. But real quick, I wasn't one of the ladies to come on, but I guess all the brothers are SYSBM. But what's your take on that feminine oscillator that gives inspiration and hope?
Yeah, I'm a Gen Xer, so I remember back in the 90s where you could kind of still catch a woman that still had that feminine energy that we all like. And I remember one time, because I'm from Chi-Town, and I was at a club. I was young, and I went into this club, and there was this lady. She was actually from Mississippi, and she, very nice, chocolate, beautiful girl. So she was. I came in. It was cold. If you know about Chicago, it gets very cold. So I come in there. My hands are cold. I'm kind of just standing at the table, and she's standing there. I think she was just there visiting family or what have you. So we strike up a conversation. So she tells me where she's from. I tell her, hey, I'm from here and all of that. And then she just, as we're talking, she just suddenly grabs my hand and starts rubbing my hand. She, oh, your hands are cold, and she just starts massaging my hands right there. And to me, that was the flyest stuff that ever happened, because, it was just that feminine. Her hands were so soft, right? And so, long story short, we kept in touch, but it was long distance. She was from Mississippi, and I was just starting out a young buck, getting into the financial industry, and I was very busy. And I remember one time before she left, she came up to my office to see me, and I was like really in the middle, like with a client, and I couldn't see her. And she was dropping off something to me, and then, you know, I didn't get a chance to see her. And it was just the fact that I was so busy, I could not cultivate the relationship the way it needed to be cultivated. And I feel like, you know, to the other, the brother's point earlier about the one that got away, and to me, that was the one that got away. You know, without going into too much detail.
Right.
You're the one that got away in terms of, you know, later on I married a woman that wasn't quite like her, but to me, I always, you know, time to time I think about what it could have been, you know, with that particular woman, and that energy probably would have made a big difference in some of the, you know, mistakes that I made along the way. But I just want to point out another quick thing. If you notice, and I don't know if anybody else brought this out, but when you deal with these modern women, they don't want to give you that feminine energy that they're supposed to, but they want all of these masculine benefits.
Right.
You hear them crying about protection and whatnot, right? And they seem to be wanting random black men to protect them from their foolery. Like if they get into it with somebody, oh, why didn't you jump in? Why didn't you do that? Right? We've all heard it, right? Now here's the inverse to that. Here's my answer to that. Okay, modern black woman, if your logic is that a random black man should just come to your rescue with his cape flying in the wind, then why isn't the reverse true? Why is it that you, as a woman, with all these men out here, whether they're homeless men or whoever, who could use some feminine touch, who could use some type of, you could go get that brother a blanket, give him some soup. Hey, brother, I just want to let you know I see you. I'm thinking of you. Hey, you know, you're not alone. I'm here for you. Why don't you be that feminine woman randomly, the way you expect black men to randomly come to your rescue?
Right. I totally agree.
They don't ever,
I totally agree.
They never flip it like that, but they expect all of this chivalry and this, you know, just from random black men. It doesn't have to be black men that they're in any way connected to. It's just that just because you're a black man, they're a black woman, they expect all of these benefits from your masculinity, while the inverse is not true, because they don't see themselves as being responsible for any random black man who may be
down his luck.
Well, it's clearly taxation without representation, man. It's taxation without representation and the mental breaking of the American male, and that's why men have to be stalwarts, but not only stalwarts, but very astute and moving forward. Real quick, anybody else want to add anything about the sign? It's been a great stream, man. Real quick.
So I want to make a point, because I heard you guys talking about the 90s, and if you're a Gen Xer, like, we got to see like young girls actually have some femininity. I remember my first girlfriend.
They
like
did,
if you go to church and like and you hold your hand out, you walk down the aisle, she knows how to wrap her arm around your arm, and she knows how to sit in a dress, and you know, it's basic things that you know you understood as a lady. And I think one of the really unfortunate parts is I know that for the younger guys, it's easier for them to blame women. But really, the problem is the atmosphere. It's the way. It's the environment. So it's like femininity is like a Swiss Army knife, but women have been told, "Here's a hammer, use it like a Swiss Army knife. You have sexuality, you have looking good. That is femininity. Now go make money, and it's okay. That's fine. But if you want a guy to protect you, there are things you can do, and the guy will just naturally want to do it. But when you say protect me, like that, you protect ladies. You don't protect other men. So we've grown so used to masculine behavior, and it's almost unfortunate when I see women kind of demanding or asking for it because they want it. They just don't have the tools. They haven't been shown the tools yet, at least for a couple of generations, right?
But watch this, Passport G. Actually, they do protect, but not in the physical. They protect a man by protecting his ego. Women protect men's egos by honoring them, respecting them, and making them feel safe and secure for the mission. They don't protect us physically, but she does protect him mentally, because children are the first. Children are imprinted in the clinical world, we call it introjection. So the man teaches the woman what his mission is, and the mother is the first. She's really the second teacher. People say she's the first teacher, but she's not. The first teacher is the man that gives her the information. She's the first teacher to the children, but he's the first teacher to her. And once she get that information from her man, the children become imprinted. That's how introjection starts. So it starts with introjection, internalization, and then identification. The last stage is, if it's negative, is projection. And so she gets the information from her husband. And so she protects the man by protecting and reflecting his mission. But we don't have that in this country anymore, man. But if you've never been with a feminine woman, man, it's a powerful, a lot of men say once they dealt with it, say it's extremely powerful. To the point when men leave Brazil and maybe even Japan, they start crying, man, because it's a bad, it's a damn shame you got to cry, man.
Hey, Kosher.
Go ahead.
Well, you know what's funny too, when I was just thinking about Brother Youssef, and the older you get, the more successful you are, and the more single you are, your life becomes like a bad working commercial. Remember that working commercial of Bugs Want to Get In called The Working Man? Because you're dealing with like 5% of the 5% women. 95% of the men want the 5% women that I consider to be either marriage or long-term relationship quality. And then what you have is a bunch of these modern women, I call them the bugs. They'll always try to capitalize or try to snatch up a good quality man out here, but they bring no value to the table. So you're going to have a lot of them. And they're, instead of working on themselves, what they're going to come with is shame. They're going to shame you for being single and successful, being disloyal to the Black community, all these nonsense talking points that they're going to come at you with as you get older, because that's that blitz they come with. But they will never talk about the value they're going to add to your life.
Right. It's relationships are definitely symmetrical, man. Definitely symmetrical. Well, listen, guys, we're gonna sign off. It's been a good one. Thank you, Passport OG. I got some new guys. Counselor Mr. G. It's a pleasure to have you. Shout out to my man, Pastor Mr. Life. I'm gonna check your channel out, man. I appreciate it, man. What's the name of your channel, brother?
Figuring Ish Out. Last thing I gotta say, get these women equality, man. Get these women equality. They've been asking for it. Give it to them. If a guy trying to rob them, if a guy trying to rob you all, push out in front.
Right.
Take out the trash. When it's cold outside, send her to crank up the car. Tell her, hey, man, get my car warmed up for me.
Well, you see all these movies, the women with these flying drop kicks beating man up in these movies,
all the time. Just pass it out.
Beating some dude 3 times their size, she dropping him to the ground and shooting him up, these movies.
Give her that light bill. Like, here, baby.
Y'all said send the woman king outside to start the car. Is that what y'all said?
It's cold outside.
Man. The penis envy is unreal. We're gonna have a powerful show, guys. Like I said, coming up on Saturday. Talking about he wants a soldier, and guys tune in. And then also I got another one on Sunday. And Ingram is the reason why these women have been imprinted.
No, man, that had nothing to do with me. I'm a changed man. I've been on my best. I don't pound them out. I do not pound them out, man. I leave them alone, man. They got too much problems, man. I'm telling you. The older you get, your house becomes like a bad working commercial. You got to call the working man. Bugs want to get in, you got to call the working man. They ring your doorbell 24/7, man. I'm telling you, man. Once you get older, these broads out here, they get aggressive. If you're worth anything or you're about something, they get real aggressive trying to secure a man, and they ain't coming with no value to the table.
Yeah, it's true, man. But anyway, guys, we're gonna sign off, man. Y'all.
Can I make a quick point?
Yeah, real quick.
Can I make a quick point?
Yes, sir. In under 2 minutes.
Real quick.
I'm ready to get off. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah. Just again to my earlier point about the language. Now, I know you got a show topic coming up saying they want a soldier, and we made reference to that Beyonce song about they want a soldier, right?
Right.
Well, it's like I said earlier. You have to deal with this language. No, I'm the general. I need you to be my soldier.
Right, that's what I'm talking about. Right. That's what I'm right. Men need a soldier. Right.
Yeah, we're the one that needs the soldier, but
yeah,
it's just
we're the one that needs the soldier. Right. Well, they always want a soldier as it relates to protection. Remember, it's symmetrical. They want a soldier based on protection, but we want a soldier based on cooperation and mission focus. So they both need soldiers, but it's in an inverse. I call it the inverse dynamic of symmetrical relationships. But they want soldiers, but many times they want a soldier that more or less suits their own selfish interests. They don't want a soldier as it relates to following the mission of masculinity, and that's the issue. But anyway,
they
guys,
want a toy soldier.
Yeah, they want a toy
control. They want a toy soldier. That's goodness. I can control a little man with a little hood and the feet and the boots. I can control my little Barbie man. That's what they want.
That's true too. But listen, guys, we're gonna sign off. I love you guys, man. Shout out to all the brothers that donated, man. Ingram, yourself, Counselor MG. I love you, brothers. Thank you, guys. And we about to sign off. I'm gonna drop you guys down. But I told you guys before in the past that there are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male. And understanding female psychology, guys, is paramount to the function of a man. I need you guys to go get your mental health taken care of. If you have not done it, go get it looked at and taken care of. And come see me at kosherclinician@gmail.com. The question remains on the day as it relates to the topic. Should men save the black community or should men save themselves? And I think unanimously the verdict is that men should save themselves. Loving yourself is the greatest investment that you can have. And if you're looking for a feminine woman, stop waiting and wasting time on fallow ground and find a woman that can more or less be a complement to your life. Guys, we signing off. It's been another great one. Shout out to all the panelists. And guys, we're about to sign off. Be well.
Are you a victim of brokenness and despair? A broken man is a hopeless man. And a hopeless man is a very dangerous man. Many times, many of you young men that are listening come from homes that are very toxic and very dysfunctional. And because of that, many of you have deferred your power in many ways to the point it's led over into your social life and many times led over into your relationships. If you guys are dealing with mental health pathologies, conscious and unconscious, come see me at kosherclinician@gmail.com. That's kosherclinician@gmail.com. It's important that you deal with your mental health in order to be a better person for yourself, your loved ones, and also your community. But because mental health is often stigmatized, many of you often suffer in silence. Don't be a victim in silence. And see me once again at kosherclinician@gmail.com. And I need you guys to remember this. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. There are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male. And male mental health is one of those elements that's paramount to the functioning of a man. Be well.
And yeah, then shout out to my man Top Gun for that 2000 super sticker, femininity. I gotta call him the sniper, man. He always up to something, man. But we signing off, guys, man. Much love and blessings, man. And we about to call it in real tight. Let me see. Here we go.
4 in the morning, you got me up, all cause you need to talk. To 4 in the evening, wanna break up, say that you've had enough. I'm tired of talking, again and again, argue about everything. You are my darling, this kiss and make up, I know you wanna touch. You call me every night, call me every day, I just wanna get you alone now. Trust me when I say tell them run it all. I wake up. Yeah. I wake up, flex, thumb down now. Check, no drip, this wet. Tell them run it all. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell them run it all. I wake up, flex, thumb down now. Check, no drip, this wet. Tell them run it all. No sleep, no rest. Might crash, might wreck, but first I stretch. Tell them run it 9 out of 10 roll through my hands, I'm by my lonely. Turn to a savage, now my baby wants to hold me. I love my fans, don't need no friends, I got my homies.